What's up, everybody? This is the poker coaching study session, and today we are with Nick. And Nick yesterday played a major Sunday game, the WSOP 5250 Bounty Hunter, the main event. Was 12,000 players in there. And Nick got the best of them, or almost. Cashed out 25,000 K. Nick, tell us about your experience.
So this is the 5250 main on GG. In my opinion, it's one of the best tournaments on GG. So I had to work in the morning, unfortunately, so I missed a lot of my Sunday. So I ended up late reging this around level 6, which unfortunately a lot of people didn't get to get any action from me on because,
Unfortunately, fortunately.
yeah. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, because
so,
usually there's some avid buyers, right?
yeah, and
yes.
as most of you know, you generally don't want to register PKOs late. I mean, I think level 6 is still okay. But as you get shallower stacks, you're not covering anybody, so you can't bounty hunt, and a lot of the prize field is gone because people's bounties are gone.
Mhm.
So, I registered this as soon as I could, and I played marginally and ran really well, so it worked out.
Great. Alright, let's see your moves.
So you're saying, in other words, you're just a degenerate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they say in the first hour, you get an hour in the PKOs to register roughly, innit?
Well, the thing about this tournament is it's a 500K guarantee, so even if you're playing for 70% of the prize pool, it's still huge for 50 bucks, you know?
That's a good point.
Yeah, I was gonna buy 50% too yesterday too.
I think I fold here. Is that too net? Too nitty?
This sizing, I think, is definitely a fold.
It seems close in my mind. I don't know
Feels
what to
like,
do.
like this board is kind of dry, right? And then. It feels like he's betting a good queen. on
You
this
split
board.
your
just-
range here, call clubs, fold without a club or no?
Yeah,
I think
what I would do.
you're just way ahead or way behind here. Like, you're like marginally ahead or way behind here.
And the problem is, if the 7 of clubs comes, it's not the
It-
7 you really want to see, is it?
Yeah.
Not really.
I don't know if this is good or bad. I'm guessing my thought process was I don't have enough queens or flush draws to defend here, but maybe would you rather defend with jack, queen off with a club or this hand?
Jack queen off with a
He
club.
bets big too.
Jack
so-
queen.
Or,
Jack queen's
sorry, not
gonna-
jack, queen, easy jack, queen, like jack 10 off, sorry. King, jack off with a club.
King jack off with a club is gonna improve
Yeah,
far more frequently than this hand is.
yeah.
I'm sure we're still supposed to call one though, right?
It seems
Yeah.
marginal.
It's the
Solver,
largest bet too.
Well, the largest bet is gonna shut it down, I think, to be honest. I think versus smaller bet, it's like an easy call, but larger bet's probably.
It's calling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gone
marginal.
55.
very marginal.
We can't just
Ooh,
fold a pair.
I'm
on this
pretty sure
board,
the
can we?
solver is not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your play here?
So I wanted to bet reverse linearly here. I think his queens are gonna continue at a very high rate because they're still vulnerable to being outdrawn. And I'm fine if he like check jams and I fold this hand.
I think
So
this
I
is
thought-
player
I thought-
dependent, isn't it?
I thought like 6s and 7s would bet a lot, and then if I had like 10s or jacks, they would check.
Oh,
I think
well,
you probably just wanna,
You know what?
I don't hate this. I don't hate this. Good morning, everybody. think-
morning, Kelly.
Morning.
Hey, guys.
Morning, Ken.
Congratulations.
I don't hate it.
Thanks,
I
guys.
think this is player dependent. This is an exploit, basically. You're, you
No,
know.
solver's
and-
doing it.
Yeah, solver
Right.
doing it.
Solver likes.
Well,
Solver never checks.
Yeah,
the
We're
seven.
getting better. We're getting better hands to fold here sometimes too.
Right.
We're never
Correct.
getting better to fold, but we
No,
get
this is a value
stuff
bet.
with equity to fold.
No, I think
don't
you still
know.
can get 8s and 9s to fold there.
What do you
I
guys
guess
top
think
players
we
to that
bet all
bet
these
size.
7x here?
Yeah, so I was gonna say something here, like, there's something odd going on with the 7 here specifically. That, we haven't even touched on, and I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure what it is.
Yeah,
I think it's
So-
just, blocker property with the straights here, perhaps?
6, 7.
Uh,
Ace 8 and
So-
king 8 are in there as well.
So like 6s, for instance, and 8s are kinda like just I mean, generally speaking, betting this hand class is not what you wanna be doing. It's kind of bluffing with sevens of sorts, it looks like. Cause if you look at all the other sevens, 7-8 combo going bananas, all of these sevens are going pretty crazy. Like as a general heuristic though, outside of this specific board texture and pocket sevens, you probably wanna approach this a little more cautiously from what I'm seeing here. If that,
Hey,
Like,
another thing, totally has nothing to do with the solver whatsoever, but I watch a lot of Giraffe's, streams, and he said there's like a thing with the population that he's noticed where they bet big on the flop and then check, they have nothing, basically. That happens a lot.
that's a
One
Louis
and done.
Philippe special.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
what the? What happened here?
I don't think you're
S-
down to 5 bigs.
Sometimes when Louis uploads hand histories, it gets like interlaced with the tournament that he played also. Like that's happened a couple times. I don't know if that's what's happening here.
Is this the final table?
You can make a new database in 5 seconds and just upload someone rando's hands and then delete them when we're done.
Yeah, I did one. I actually did one for that.
Nice.
Must be a bit of an issue. Do it again.
Yeah, today's
just
not
while I was
about
doing
you,
this-
Louis. It's about Synd, okay?
While I was doing this, my thoughts with sevens were that people aren't really protecting their checking range enough there, where their queen X are gonna barrel to get value from flush draws. There's a lot of scary cards for a queen, right? They wanna get value in, and people in general don't check raise enough in that spot. So, even not even as an exploit, I really like betting those hands reverse linearly. Maybe smaller would be better for that reason. Yeah, this is the next hand. Maybe smaller
it
would be
all the
better, but I wanted to follow that trend.
Yeah, I do it all the time. Maybe sometimes I wonder if it's good or not, but that's kind of, I agree with you.
So what's your play here?
Eight.
Same thing I just did last hand. This is literally the next hand.
Yeah.
Raised.
Right. That's pretty standard stuff.
I like a call with the 9s, but you could jam this guy. I don't mind a jam against that guy
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, for
at that
30,
SPR.
30, you'd probably just rip it.
Good morning, Ken.
I think being out of position, I'd prefer to jam more.
I mean, you
Think-
could have.
I think both is okay.
Yeah, I
don't
think it's
any
probably
of you really
mixing.
be trapping top of
I
range.
think both is
Guys-
okay.
The guys to your right are pretty deep, so I think they would wanna raise their top of range.
Well, Barry is right, but we get it here. I mean, it's a pair board. He's probably see betting a lot. I like this check raise.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
think it's
have
good
to
check
check
raise.
raise that hot, that much though, on that dry a board?
Yeah, it's a pair board.
It's actually like you
Check raise,
check
you mostly
raise
defend my
because
check
it's that
raise.
I
dry.
think you check raise
That's
less.
exactly why you check raise a lot.
With the size.
No, I thought you checked left. I thought you check raised higher on more volatile boards that are dynamic.
No,
Even
so,
frequency or sizing.
I feel like this hand's too good to check raise, honestly.
no, what?
No, you should be check raising this some, and it's a function of
No,
his
'cause he
bet
calls
sizing
you-
also.
You
Like,
get
look how
value,
thick-
like
look
he calls you with ace five, he calls you with ace king.
When he bets super small too, like. The
Right.
typical
Mostly defending
heuristic
by
is
Go ahead
check
again.
raise.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know,
check
no,
it.
it's fine.
Sure.
We mostly defend by check raising on paired boards because when you call, you cap yourself.
Yeah, the queen's a good card for us too, anyway.
Well, and you're check raising for
It's better than the
protection.
king or the ace
Yes.
being paired. We got a lot of queens in our range.
So, yeah, so.
Wait, is this pure calling 9s?
Well, it's check raising a lot, like the strategy is good. Raising like 25%, calling 24%. But somehow nines are not doing it. But for
I
me,
think it's
nines
just the
there
best
are
hand.
like eights.
They're too good.
It's just the best hand in the range that you flat, the best paired hand that you flat, so it's just.
And it's worth pointing
like-
out that the EVs are dead identical, so you're not making a big mistake if you find check raise with that.
I think it's either
It
way.
like to jam the flop almost 100%, pre-flop,
So yeah,
pretty much
Kelly,
100% though, right?
Here we check raise like 25% of the time or more
Right.
on these kind of boards. I see. Is that a thing?
I like calling this one.
I think at like 60, it might squeak in there. I'm not sure. It might be too wide.
I think it's just out of range, but I think you can get away with it.
I think
I
this,
think
I
it's
think
I
a
think
like
the
three
decent
bet
hand
worse.
to-
the 5-4 combos are gonna come in at 100, I think. I think it's a little wide. It's 50, 60
There's just a.
primarily.
But
It'll be,
like,
it'll
you
be
might
more
have,
prominent the deeper you go, but it's definitely fine, especially
if
wide,
this
wide
guy's just a
range.
little bit loose and therefore a little bit likely to fold, if you have a little bit of a read, then it becomes very good.
Yep. Yeah, if they're not defending
Situation brewing.
very well, it's very good.
I mean, you know, like you get these guys who fold to 3-bet stats at like 70, in which case you can 3-bet any two cards and then just
You can-
realize
Was-
post flop if you have to.
Was it 3-betting worse? Suited gappers there. I'm
Worse
just
than
curious
what?
whether it was 3-betting worse hands.
No.
Worse
No.
than 5-4?
No.
No, it's
Yeah,
gonna,
no,
you
like
can
this-
see it's
Yeah,
3-betting more like ace and king X blocker stuff.
yeah.
It's not as worried about board coverage at that stack depth, 100 plus. It's really worried about
As
it.
their response becomes less jam heavy as a 4-bet, you start getting better board coverage combos at 3-bet generally.
Well, I can already see I'm not backing you anymore. You're playing way too loose and aggressive.
And like, you know, we don't usually spend that much time at 200 bigs, but like if you ever look at 200 big solves, the suited connectors are like 100%.
For
three
sure.
bets. They're
Those
just
are
like
yeah,
mandatory.
bread and butter.
Yeah, they're printing money.
You guys call here?
Yeah.
This is
Nah.
miserable.
I am calling here, I think.
You wanna call
I
it
Kind of
straight
wanna
button
just
there.
like min click.
I think I'm calling, but I think it's probably like a 0 EV call. I think it's
I
low.
think I'd fold this one with no diamond.
But you have some like backdoor straights.
Backdoor
like
spades, I'd call, I
a-
guess.
Plus
But
the
we-
PKO and we have
hearts.
him covered and
Do
we
we
can.
block
You know,
that?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would have even led. I would have even led on this board with the bottom pair. I would have led without the diamonds.
You would have
No.
led here, Barry, on the
You do a
board.
10
I
9
lead
board?
100. I
Barry,
lead now on this board.
Barry.
You
Not-
don't lead
not a
here,
thing.
Barry. That's.
No, Barry,
He just-
Terrible, Barry. Don't lead.
He has ace 10, he has king 10, he has jack 10, he has ace 9, he has
Sure,
king 9. He has too
sure.
many good hands here.
But I'm
So
not check
turn
calling
goes
this
check,
bottom
check.
pair.
It's
After
the
turn
BTO
goes check,
exploit.
check, do we block that?
No, I would probably.
not?
I don't know. You
No.
might be able to block bet here, maybe. I don't know. Probably
I don't
not
wanna
though.
block
Like,
But it means a block bet bluff, right?
I think his or I think his big bet check, the range that he uses a big bet on the flop and checks the turn is just gonna improve too much on the jack here. Like, if the diamonds didn't improve him, the jack probably did improve him.
Yeah, I think this slaughters his range.
You like checking here? After it goes.
I like
check?
check.
Yeah, I think check. I think check.
I like,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
like
I'm-
check
I'm
fold here, I
checking
think.
too.
Yeah, check fold.
I
would
think I like
I
block
would like
betting
to
because
see.
I don't think they hero enough here.
I would
I-
like to
I think
see
if
if
you
the
do that, it's an
solver would
exploit.
actually bet the worst hands here.
Wow, he
Yeah.
checked the turn.
I thought we didn't do that block betting stuff on.
Wow, how does he
That's
check? the
really
turn?
bad play on his part, right? That's really weak and nitty.
Yeah.
Are we never?
It is
Are we
pretty.
never
Like he has
leading on
freaking
flops
trips
here?
with an SPR of 1.5,
Oh.
like get the money in, dude.
To go back to the
Just
flop, I'm
bet.
only calling 5x with an over to the 10 or backdoor spades. Like,
Oh,
I don't
nice
think this
guy.
is really a call.
I
Honestly,
think we should be leading here rather than calling with this junk.
like queen 5, king 5, ace 5, and then maybe backdoor spades that can make.
You interact too much with a 9-10, I think.
Yeah, I agree. You know,
Like 7-5, wow, 8-5.
There's gonna be
Mm.
zero betting.
Yeah,
It's
I'd
gonna
be
be
backdoor
zero
Just a
lead.
spades,
tiny bet.
over.
A small lead.
Oh, no, I'm wrong. Look at all those leads.
No, this isn't lead. This is a response to his bet.
It's like, it's
okay.
almost strong enough to raise, like.
It's zero
it's-
EV though to call, right? It's a very, very marginal call. Here the pot is 9 big blind and we make 0.26 by calling with a
So
5.
like ace 5's making a half a big blind, right?
You also kind of have to look at his actual big bet range. It's versus the solver's big bet range. Does the solver's big bet range look like what we think the player's big bet range looks like? Like versus this range, it's kind of a trash call, right? It's basically just 10x with like the occasional bluff. Which actually his hand fits pretty squarely into this range.
I
so
think it's accurate here.
It looks pretty
Are we-
accurate.
Are we saying, Galen, are you saying that we're best off making an exploitative fold here then to the big size
No,
with this
no, no.
junk?
You probably need to stick around for once.
Yeah, so Barry, what I'm saying is like, it's a zero EV call if the player's betting like the solver. So we wanted to look at his range and it probably accurately represents what his big bet on the flop range is. So, like, it's zero
But
EV,
could we
like,
just make an exploitative fold here with, I mean, this is a terrible hand. We can't really
you
improve much
could,
on the turn.
you're not.
Barry,
the
if you
fan-
get a
You
five on the
can.
turn,
You
it's
have five
gonna be-
outs,
seven?
five outs to the nuts, man. Yeah.
The answer, Barry, is you're not losing a lot if you are making a fold here, but
No, Barry, if this would be an ace here, you could totally fold.
really, yeah,
Could
it's
be a
not.
Yeah.
king
Yes.
here, you could totally fold.
Yes.
But on a 10, you
I
can't.
just, yeah, I think he has too many, like, he has like ace jack, king jack type hands. Those hands have equity, but we have equity too, so.
Yeah,
So the real
Put you
I
out of
question
agree.
position.
is,
Out of position, how many
Call?
times you going to
I mean,
realize?
it's pretty
that?
sweet. You realized all your equity too, honestly, for the one bet.
Yes,
I mean,
I
a
agree.
big part of our equity here is binking miracle turns, and we get a reasonable price to draw to it. And when you hit a 5, you often stack them, like,
Yeah,
it
but your
happens.
eight's not clean.
Yeah,
Your eight's not clean
It's
at
clean
all.
enough for 20 bigs
yeah,
and
exactly.
20 bigs and a
Bingo.
bounty.
so do you
Well,
guys
and it's
like?
like-
Oh, I'm sorry,
bet
this-
here Or not?
This is
If we're saying
PKO.
Yes.
I'm
But
sorry,
like, if our
okay.
eight's not clean, what are we worried about him having? If he has 10-8, okay, we're dominated. But if we're worried about him having queen jack, then that means we're ahead of him already. So like,
alright,
Fine.
we're approaching the limit with this hand. It's time to
Yes,
Yeah,
move.
we beat the
it
shit
is a
out of
block
this.
bet on the river.
It-
Let's move on.
Alright,
There.
but I wanna point out on the flop, we never donk, right, on this flop?
No, of course not.
Right, just saying it out loud.
Never a donk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can.
Wow, this is good. What are you gonna do?
Sure.
I
it's like a
don't know.
squeeze
Call or squeeze. I'm not sure which.
against a raise and a flat.
I like, just
It
a
is a
call, to
call.
be honest with you.
Yeah, this is.
I think if it was like, well, I don't know, a little higher, yeah, you could. I think it's a call.
I'm always encouraging myself to find more squeezes in these multi-way spots.
There it
Oh,
is.
good,
Which I think is a
good.
pretty,
Either one's fine.
and again, that assumes a balanced cutoff range, which we can assume he does not have. People are too capped when they call there.
Tricky.
Yeah,
Think you fold here? Two
Gotta
multi-way.
fold.
I
I
like.
think
fold.
multi-way it's a fold.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. We got position. I'm not so sure.
fold. Just
we had
fold.
two players still to play behind us. We don't know, we're not.
Four-way
getting through.
pot.
I don't think we are, but we don't
We
know.
have both them covered. We could flop it straight.
Okay. Flop, you mean?
This is a non-PKO fold, but I think a
Yes.
slam dunk PKO
I
call.
agree. I
Oh,
agree.
sorry, I think when we were talking about folding, we were talking about the 10-9 suited.
Yeah,
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, I was talking about the 10-9 suited. When they were saying call because we've got position. I was going,
So
yeah,
I
but there's
think
no.
both options are reasonable here between raise and call. If we raise, we
Yeah.
clearly have to call a jam, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yep.
But at the same time, there's a lot of just dead money
Man,
here.
see, I think I'm raising with the intention of just getting him
Stacking
to
off.
run equity. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
and
fine
in a
with it.
PKO, you're okay with just running your equity against 20 bigs, right?
That's what
Question
I
there.
decided on.
if.
I don't think I'm gonna raise. I think I'm just gonna jam here. I'm not giving the opportunity to stuff it in on me and call. I'm just going all in on these guys.
Yeah, I think it's same difference. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
raise or
If we're
jam,
gonna
they're
call
both
off.
fine.
Yeah, if we're gonna call off, better to jam.
Yeah. For sure.
Well,
That's
they
a
could,
question.
they could jam worse draws too. I don't know.
That'd be
don't
nice.
know.
I really
Maybe
don't
not.
hate this. I would say the one thing I would lean jamming because you do benefit from, generating fold equity. Because you are essentially on a draw. It's kinda one of those things, like
Yeah.
if you get called, it's kinda whatever, you know? You'll run your equity versus their pair of kings. But,
I just don't want them to jam me up there. I'd rather put decision on them.
this is the bet I
Well-
would make if I had an actual flush or a
Whenever they
or
jam
like a
on
set.
you, you have 9 outs to the nut flush and then 3 aces you can hit, so you still have like, you're flipping.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's not too shabby, right? It's not
It's
really a
not-
bet.
Nah,
Yeah, you're
I
not
like
like,
either. I don't mind either or. Me personally, I jam, but I don't mind the way you played it at all, Nick.
Yeah, no, I was just saying for like, I mean, if you were gonna split hairs, I think your hand benefits a little more from, generating fold equity as opposed to, you know,
Sure.
baiting him in.
Hello, team.
I think it's just a large bet. I don't,
Right.
because you don't jam flushes here, right? So like if you have the flush, you're not gonna do that.
Huh.
Nice.
I'm good.
11 outs, not 12. but
that's
still.
too big. It's a weird sizing.
Yeah, I thought the same thing against him being really short.
Yeah.
I sized to like 5.5 or so there.
I like this. This
So
guy's stacked
why
out.
did you opt to, flat here pre?
Oh,
Ace, jack, okay, fine.
I think
He's
I'm
on the
three
button.
betting the offsuit one and calling the suited one.
Seems fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It
think,
just seems like,
This big
it's-
stack could just jam
pushing
it
at
up.
60,
Yeah.
it becomes more of a thing. So it's like,
Well,
I mean, you could be getting you could be
He's-
getting 4-bet jam.
he's got the 17 big blind stacking in the button or the big blind. So I mean, it's not a bad hand to induce with, right? You can call off.
Well, my thought was
Yes.
like the short stacks, you never get to see a flop if they jam because the big stack is usually just gonna ISO. I mean, sometimes they're
Ah.
gonna fold,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
but,
Solver, flats.
I think it's fine.
They're
I think
like
it's
75%.
Okay, I
at
thought
what,
so.
what stack depth did you look at, Tim?
I ran it at 50, and of course, that's assuming even stacks, so like, you could think
Okay,
about,
at
but it's kind of nice if,
60, it's flatting like 65% of the time.
Right, so it's becoming more of a 3-bet.
What's
I
wrong
guess
with
it's kinda like a, if you're trying to get access to like a smaller stack in my mind, I kind of always try to present an uncapped range. Two bigger stacks who are gonna put you in the box sometimes. But I mean, it's nitpicking. I think it's fine to flat there.
What do you
I think a
guys?
smaller bet could be better here on the
Yeah,
river.
I also think so because I don't think we get called by worse hands.
So I don't really care if I get called by worse hands, cause
What
Yeah.
do I know?
I have just a lot of, it checked all the way down, right? So I have a lot of stuff that can just stab for pot when I'll have queen X sum and then I'll have just complete nothing sum.
He's gonna backdoor into like some 2 pairs here too. Like he's gonna have some jack 10 sometimes. He's gonna have some king 10 sometimes. Like and it's only 6 big blinds with that action. He's gonna call you something with something sometimes. He called you
Like
with
a
a 5.
slightly smaller bet just to induce a raise as well.
You're not getting,
People aren't raising here.
yeah.
Not normally.
Your opponent calls with a king here, I think you played it pretty well.
That's true.
yeah, exactly.
Max
You
value
got
from
max
the king.
value.
King 5 off. Great.
Yeah, the solver would choose.
Yeah, I
to be
don't think-
greedy there for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think his is a theory call. I think that's a theory
No, I
call.
think this is a fold.
I'd run it here. It's too good.
Absolutely.
Like to run it.
Win the flip.
Gotta win the flips. I like the bet.
I like this.
Isn't this just a limp?
Nope.
Limp call?
No.
Not at this-
Forward,
not at this
king
stack
five
depth.
is a limp. King 6 and up.
Offsuit king
is
X
always
is-
a limp.
It's a good raise, yeah.
Off of shorter stacks, it's very good. You got a good blocker, poor equity
That
realization.
sizing was interesting.
Yeah, I
We
was gonna ask
just-
about that sizing.
I'm not sure. I remember this decision where I thought it'd be a polarized spot. And I thought garbage king X fit nicely into it every now and then.
You generate
Not
good
sure about
fold
the
equity.
sizing.
You got a good hand to probably size up a little bit here. Like, I think it's probably fine. it's bad.
I think it's gonna go for a smaller size.
It might.
Mixing. Using
Yeah,
the
the
big
answer-
gap, so you're good.
Okay.
The overall strategy, you're pretty much betting ranger. Checking 30%, betting 70%.
Yeah, we can get better
I
king
know.
highs to fold, right?
So-
So I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
we gotta bet.
GG's.
Good luck with those chips,
Uh,
Nick.
I just busted Ken from a tournament.
Dang.
That's the one I was backing. No,
And you have check raise bottom pair on the flop.
I honestly, yeah, I don't mind that at all here.
Maybe we're
I
too
would
big to do
prefer-
that. I think it would.
Like a
be
trap sheet.
like 40.
I'm not a big fan of this on king high. I like check raising bottom pair when you have an overcard and some backdoor flushes.
Yep.
But when it's king high, like, you're never drawing to a better two pair. It's just,
And
This
it
is a bit
may
like the hand
be-
earlier where we had a 5.
It may be that there's enough draws around the wheel here that we can use some of those.
Point.
5, 7.
Cause I know on
Similar
some
to the
dry
bottom
boards, you start to use bottom pair and under pairs.
Yeah,
never
just a
check
pure
raise.
call.
Not really here, Tom.
Yeah.
You need straight interaction, it looks like, to do it.
Just for
Too
fun,
bad.
let's
All
put
these-
the names out here.
Like ace deuce clicks it, four deuce clicks it, yeah.
Those
Not-
have straight, all
not
have straight
really.
interaction.
It seems to
Ace
be
deuce
all the
is two
bottom
pair.
pairs with no interaction seem to just be a pure call, but there's not a lot of EV.
Oh, wait, but you have the board wrong. Can we see it on king of hearts?
What?
The flop's wrong. You have ace of hearts. It should be king of hearts.
Right.
You had
I
king of
actually
hearts, you
pretty-
changed
Are you,
it.
are you not following him? I checked the ace or the king of hearts first, then I put the ace to see if they were right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. GG just crashed.
Ugh. Call and hate it.
Fold.
You
Okay,
know,
I'm
so
a second behind.
these are trouble, to be honest. Like, I was defending a lot more of these. But I know it's a GTO defend, I know it is, but I've started peeling some of this away from my range.
Is
to be
it
quite
the
honest.
GTO defense?
I don't think
Yeah,
it's, I don't
Yes.
think
I call it in
it's
position.
not an
here.
EV defend.
Dude,
it?
honestly, it's not even close as a GTO defend. Like, it's button range. It's not even close.
Okay,
Yeah, and his sizing is undersized, which means you need to find more calls.
Yeah. That's
the
fair too. Like,
PKO,
I
you're
would probably,
basically-
I'd probably call there, but it's like, if you flop a king there, you're just doubling this guy up a lot is the unfortunate thing, I think.
Yeah, and he's supposed to have stuff like 10-9 suited in his range and he just doesn't have it there.
Right. There's a lot of unfortunate stuff like that.
do we ever go for booties here? No.
No, we're like
Oh,
at the
man.
bottom of our range, dude.
Oh,
It's close, but we
dude.
open early position and they rip into us.
Yeah, like we have so much stronger here to call with. They have to respect our range here.
Yeah, this is an
We're good.
easy fold.
We have like 20% equity here.
So how about this? How about this? Let's just do a fun thought experiment. What do you think the worst hand you're calling with here is?
Pocket
Ace
ace.
king.
Pocket eights is the floor?
No, I said aces. I don't know.
Ace.
So ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, all definitely call. Ace.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
10.
Pocket sevens,
Probably
ace nine.
probably tens, right? Probably tens.
I think I
What,
fold
10,
ace
queen
10-0
suited?
and call ace 10 suited.
I think that's good. I think that's probably
That
good.
seems reasonable. And your range generally should lean a little bit more towards suited and connected here, because
What are you doing with like king
You
jack
need to-
suited?
I'm folding king,
Thanks.
jack, calling king,
Yeah.
queen.
But it's dominated hands. They're 3-betting us with ace with top kickers.
To
And
be honest,
higher pairs.
it doesn't even matter, like, if you're dominated in some of these spots, like. It's about like the pot odds you're getting. And then like adjusting that for the amount of the prize pool that's sitting on their head. So you could see their cards face up, know that you're like in a really bad situation sometimes, and it still becomes a profitable call. Like, I mean, obviously, this is.
How
I mean,
profitable is this call?
Well, it's not profitable at all.
You need a
It's not
bunch of
profitable at
trees,
all.
man. If it comes
But I
up
mean,
red, you might have a chance.
if you HRC'd this spot, and I could definitely eat my words here, I would not be shocked to see this as a pretty profitable call.
I would be surprised, we're gonna
I
run
would
it
be
and we're gonna
shocked
come
if
back
this was
to
a
with
profitable
it
call.
next week. I think it's an
I'd be
interesting
shocked
hand to
too.
look at the calling.
Yeah.
range.
I think
Yeah,
when you're
I
the under
am
the gun
curious to see what you
raiser,
do, but this ain't it.
I mean,
Look at the
but he's
parlay.
raising under the gun and then there's 2 all in. So I think you've got to have him on strong range, very strong range.
Oh, aces lose.
That's
Nice.
funny.
I'm just saying, if you haven't looked at the ranges, you should maybe reserve some of the strong convictions. We've seen
Yeah.
it in the past.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Wait till we get to those pocket sevens on the final table.
Oh,
I like this sizing.
it's just so hard to get called
If-
here. I think I wish I'd
Yeah.
gone small again.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe
I
small.
like the
kinda
sizing
better.
because I don't think it's easy for him to come over the top.
I
Mhm.
don't care if he comes over. I have the nut flush. I'm not worried
Yeah.
about it.
See, this
What,
is
on
an
a paired
interesting one
board?
too. You had ace five and it was a limp call spot and he raised a 5 and a 5 and we fold. See, I feel like this one's close too. I may be over defending some of these spots more than
Thing is,
anything.
we limp, so it's like we get squeezed too much.
Well, that's kinda
So-
where I'm at.
ISO this hand. What do you
How
think
many
about this?
people on the big blind are gonna just raise
Yeah.
garbage here?
Yeah,
When they
it
can see a
needs to
flop
be
for free,
linear,
you
I
know?
agree.
Like, this is a strong
Oh.
hand in my mind.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like, not everyone knows the cheat code about 3-betting from the big blind.
This is just a squeeze, but he has like the perfect spot to just press check. And like curiosity, it could be a hell of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this
The
18 big
ranges are
blind
so
could be
weak.
trapping, like,
You could be stepping into it. I mean, that's fair. I don't mind. Well, when the 17 had to fold, so he folded before you, so you are closing the action. But either way, I don't think it's bad. It's just, it's close, right? In my mind, is why I bring it up.
I like a jam here.
Yeah. definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think you can
This
do a
hand
lot.
definitely benefits from jamming.
Check that big. I think that makes sense.
Without a diamond, probably.
Oh,
Yeah, easy,
now
easy
you're-
peasy. Ooh, you checked. I don't know, man. I might have put it in.
I don't like checking here because this
I might
guy,
have put it in.
yeah, this guy is likes to call too much and he's not betting for pin value often enough.
I just don't know. I just don't know how many 9x he has versus your big bet that he improves on here, that like, I just don't think it changed the board state enough to really, play check like he's gonna jam. I feel like he's just gonna check back here a lot.
Yeah,
Could be wrong.
I think
Could
I
be
agree,
wrong.
and we still
I
have
think-
bluffs,
I
like we
think
still
the
have our diamond
solver-
bluffs that wanna
I don't-
bluff.
I don't think I think if I could go back, I would bet like tiny on the river. Cause we just have the board locked up. We're trying to get called by like a queen, like queen, jack, queen 10 here.
not
His hand,
really.
honestly,
You can
is,
get called by jack 10, you can get called by a random 9x, you can
His-
get called by
Jack,
queen
jack 10
9.
and 9x are gonna raise it if we bet small.
Jack
He's got
10
a
is
pretty
basically
great
know-
bluff
everything.
catcher. He might go broke
I
with
know
this hand that
the,
he has.
He could. I don't
I
know.
know the solver likes to check the nuts a lot on the river.
Yeah, we touched on that, Barry. I was saying like the board state didn't really change regarding to that, like if.
Yeah,
So if it would have been like let's say a 10 on the river, where there's like a new, there's easy to have nut hands, then a check becomes
Yeah.
a lot more profitable. Or let's say a diamond
Sure.
completes, a diamond completing, check becomes more
Okay.
profitable.
makes sense.
Yeah, this is a good one
I
to look
like
at, I
that.
think.
I think it's gonna pile, and I think his hand actually at equilibrium is gonna be a call. I think how you played it on the flop is good. And I think how you play on the turn is good. And I mean, honestly, I do this, I would check here sometimes too, but I just feel like I miss value sometimes when I do this.
You want to
Yeah.
see 4 cards to the straight or flush, don't you? To put the check in.
Yes.
I
Well,
think
your
the
hand
thing
becomes
that,
truly a bluff catcher there anyways.
I think the
Yeah.
thing that checking does is it allows him to bet with all his diamonds that have a combo draw that have missed here. And if he has the 9 of diamonds or any 9, he's gonna reopen the action when you check. So I don't think it's a bad check here. I think it's gonna check a lot.
Let's
Nick,
take a
can you
gander.
just
I don't think it's a
move
bad
over
check.
your GTO wizard window a little bit so we can see the rightmost bet sizing when it's open? Cause I keep missing that.
It's not mine, it's Louis.
One quick
sorry.
question on that with the diamonds. Doesn't he bet a lot of his diamonds on the flop to our check?
Not his ace high
That's a good
ones,
question.
and it's a king high board. King high board, he's gonna check more.
Okay,
I think it's a good question. He should have some checks there.
As ace high diamonds have showdown, other ones are going to wanna realize
So-
some
But
so is this
it's
the,
funny
is-
because it depends on what size we use on the turn. So if we use 80% turn and he calls, then it becomes a pure check on the river with pocket king as you play. But if we bet 55% on the turn and he calls, then the kings become almost always a big bet on the river.
Yeah, imagine it's probably just the different parts of your range you're representing.
So it seems to be a function of what size you use on turn. And
Yeah.
on turn, you should be going small.
Generally,
Turn,
yeah.
we should be going small.
But, okay, so when you put in the jam, Louis, what does he do with tens? Let's see what his calling range looks like.
It's not jamming. Never.
Well,
jam,
the big,
ever.
whatever the response is,
Like
the
a
big
seven.
bet, the
7 big
75%.
blind. He doesn't have them.
You have a small bet on the turn, size it up.
So what do
Here's
you
all
want?
wins.
Because if we size
Jack
up
ten.
on the turn, as I was saying, kings
Mhm.
become a pure check.
Right. Alright, well, yeah. I think it's an interesting hand.
If you bet small on the turn, you go all in here, and if you bet big on the turn, you check.
Yep. I think it's a fine played hand. I've been in your shoes there a lot and I know checking and getting a check back feels bad.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
it's so hard for him to have really anything that's gonna call a jam. It's just, we have the board completely covered. And he still has diamonds, a lot of diamonds, and then a lot of straight draws that can bluff.
Yeah, but diamonds
Hopefully a
wouldn't work,
9.
should it?
If he hits trip 9s, he loses his stack, right?
Yeah, he's never checking with a 9 there.
So
No.
this one would be more of a limp.
Annoying.
Is it?
Mm. I like
not
a
so
free
sure.
bet here
You're not sure,
with the offsuit combo.
That's unlikely, yeah.
Okay, pure limp, good to know.
huh? The
Because I don't
way it
mind if
draws
they
the
jam
line
and
is around
offload.
king 5.
Okay,
King 4 and under, we usually limp. King 5 and up. We go. I would,
I like calling the stacked up, I think. I don't know if
I
I
like
wanna raise this guy.
yeah.
I like calling the suited one.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
See you guys. I gotta go to the doctor.
Later.
Alright,
like-
Kelly,
Have a
have a
good one,
nice day,
Kelly.
man.
See you.
Luck to the Dr. Kelly.
Some running good here.
I would let this go, not closing the action.
Yeah.
easy fold. For 6.
I like this.
Yeah.
Standard jam ace deuce.
Ooh.
That's fine, that's GTO.
Yeah, I
Don't
think
like
this is good. I was just wondering, like, it's pretty
Um,
early position.
Yeah.
We're-
You
It
can
is
run into
spicy,
bigger
For
hands.
sure.
I think we're kind of late in the tournament at this point. I remember that hand.
I think it's fine, though. I definitely do. I like calling here.
Calling,
Yeah, you have 15 bigs, so you
you're
can call.
insane.
I like calling here.
You're
I don't
insane.
mind calling. I don't mind calling or jamming.
Both you and GTO wizards are insane.
The six
know
to
you-
jam.
Honestly, you're asking
Invite the
for,
six to
you're
jam.
asking for a disaster and when the
Yeah,
ace comes
GTO
to the
wizard
flop,
doesn't call
you-
there.
you deserve it, but
So it's a PKO and he has me covered and he's opening under the gun. I
right, so
think
you're
I
expecting
get,
to get called. You're expecting to get called. I get it.
I think I get called by a lot of stuff that's gonna
You're
find
looking at
folds on flop.
17, man. Get a reasonable range. What's wrong with you?
15, 17. What do you want?
I want you to get a reasonable
Yeah.
range. We don't pay for
Yeah.
pre-flop academy, so you can
Like-
use 17 big blind ranges for 14 big blinds.
If he has pocket sevens, he's never folding here, but on like every flop, he can find a fold.
This call here is insanity.
I'll tell you in a second.
See, that's a lot better.
You don't
To be
think?
honest,
I don't
though,
mind
it-
call.
It should be ICM adjusted to some point.
I
to some
believe
degree.
wizard when it says you're losing like 2/10 of a big here. You know,
So verse RFI, what are you, the cutoff or something? EP two?
yeah, Nick, like you said, it's so nice to get the full double up against ace queen there.
Never flat.
Hey,
It's a
morning, Galen.
PKO. He's gonna hunt us wide.
Yeah, we get paid so much when we jam, like there's no point in getting trappy.
Are you
Yeah.
trying to trap the button and
I'm
big
just,
blind Galen?
I'm a glutton for punishment, okay? Give me a break.
What about
And he, like-
aces? Are we flat
And
calling
like you're saying,
aces?
he's calling you with like eights there, whereas eights are often gonna give up on the flop.
Eights are, aces are kind of like a no-brainer. It definitely flats some,
Ace is flat.
if not full frequency.
Oh,
Yeah, wizard says you flat aces 100%, or, okay,
Okay.
100% on 17 bigs.
But not
70%
kings, that
here.
makes sense.
At 17, we are pure flat with aces.
Galen, so whatever it's worth, I like your flat with kings.
Do the two smaller stacks, the
Well,
six and
thank you.
nine behind, change our thinking at all? Because they're incentivized to, are they incentivized to jam by our call?
That was my thought process as well.
Or in a PKO?
Yeah,
they're always getting called,
so-
they shouldn't squeeze.
They're not so much incentivized because they know they're always getting hunted, so it's gonna be heavily
Right.
reliant on their two cards.
Because it's a PKO, okay.
They know they have no fold equity.
Yeah, dude, 6 big blinds, he knows he's getting called 100% if he commits his chips here. It's like,
So in that case, like me jamming isn't really gonna change the response to their action.
But
If
then
they have good
that guy-
cards, they're
that
gonna
guy
put it
sitting
in even if I'm already all in.
I don't necessarily agree with that. Like ace 10 may squeeze over the top of you if you present a flat, if you present a capped range, like
Yeah.
you may get
He'll run
folds from
with
ace
Jack
10,
10
ace
for all you
jack.
know. If Jack 10 suited runs it 6 blinds.
Yeah, tens plus is definitely gonna jam over the top. But then you're running kings against potentially two players in the PKO.
Are we
Probably
good,
just wanna be
gentlemen?
heads up, right?
Yeah, let's keep.
Sorry?
going.
Yeah,
Are we
yeah,
good?
yeah, we can move. Yeah,
Did you find any flatting with king on PFX?
I'm going to withhold my answer.
Okay.
So we're probably like
Oh.
final 6 or 7 tables now.
I'll refer to HRC beta.
Yeah, this is, I think I fold this now. I don't
Yeah.
If
like
you're
this.
deep, if you're deep, I'm not a big fan here. If like you're early in the tournament,
Must have
Get
been a
frothy.
big booty here. for
yeah,
to
you
do
must have been
that.
enticed. I get it, man. A tight pair of yoga pants and I lose my mind too, Nick.
what happened?
Sucker for the yoga pants.
Yeah, he got yogaed in. It's okay.
Oh, you're trying to get the chips back from the same guy.
Yeah, I gotta get my chips back.
Well done.
Yeah.
Oh.
What a river.
Oh, that's
Wow.
quite a run out.
And-
Roller
and-
coaster,
turn.
roller
This
coaster hand.
was the first hand on the roller coaster of emotion.
It's such an emotionally draining situation.
Oh, that's a horrific.
Oh
hand.
my god. Again.
Oh. Oh,
Oh, how did we go from, okay, so we go from 22 big blinds. And we just blind down to 6.
Line down.
Yeah, nothing happened. So N
Uh-oh.
47, just for fun. And 47.
I mean, you could run it forward from here too. We're close to the hand I said. It doesn't matter.
We'll wait for his king. We're, okay, we blind down.
You
Yeah,
take it.
um,
This is in the money right now, though, right?
Yeah, it's like final 6 or 5 tables.
Right. How did we get here so quick with that many players, Nick?
He took the V pips off. It's only V pip hand, so that's
Okay.
why. AKA Nick was doing a lot of folding at one point.
Seriously,
Okay.
this is like
And I
7
late
hours of
regged.
play.
Just seems to have gone real quick.
I just folded for an
No,
hour.
it was
We
like
raged as well.
for like from 5:17 to 5:34, we didn't play ahead.
He went to lunch. He had a lunch break or a dinner break, early dinner break and, you know.
Yeah, it's just like 20 minutes. No cards.
How
20
how many
minutes.
hours in are we here? Roughly.
About
15.
4 hours.
Okay.
38.
So we lose this one.
What was the blind levels in this then? Like, obviously. it's
Are you
quite
going bounty
a big one.
hunting? Are you going bounty
35K,
hunting?
70K Barry. No, he's open shoving 5 digs.
No, no, he's going bounty hunting.
A guy bounty hunted himself.
Are you
He's going
hunting with the
bounty.
5 big blind stack?
I am
He's
the
the
hunter.
hunter. He is the
Oh.
hunter.
I see what we're doing here. So you're hunting this guy
Yeah.
and you're trapping
Chipstick.
this guy.
And now he's thinking I'm out of the tournament on the flop.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thinking like,
King
and
on
then he's
the
thinking like,
turn.
I might be okay
Wow.
on the turn.
So dramatic, Nick.
It is
Yeah.
very dramatic.
Booty.
Djiboutis. Yeah.
This is good.
This I would probably fold here
This
in
is
this
very
spot.
close in my mind. This is
I think
bottom
it's
of
close.
range.
I agree.
We're
I agree.
so short, Nick. We're so short. I think I kinda wanna pass it up, my man.
So my reasoning
big blind.
is big blind has 7 bigs. This is
Yeah.
a giant stack. He's getting frisky.
Are you hunting?
No,
hunting.
Hey,
I think he's out of line, opening
Okay.
way too wide.
And
Okay.
you're gonna teach him a lesson, right?
yeah, you're gonna
I
police
like
him.
it. I like that
I-
part. I like that part of the but it's the rest of it, everyone else waking up with a hand behind, isn't it? That I don't like.
Well,
Well, the
we'll
point
see,
three
Barry.
three.
That's- you're-
But they don't wake up
you're
with pairs
gonna-
that much. Like, you gotta win some flips if you wanna win this tournament. It's okay if you get called off
Sure.
by like ace jack or whatever.
Would you have run it though, Galen, there? Or not?
Probably not.
It's a tight one, isn't it?
I think it's just risky,
Oh.
risky business.
Nick,
Did we,
I like,
did we
I like
RFI the
leaving-
sevens?
Yes.
Okay, okay, sorry.
Love
I
the
thought we were
smooth
big blind.
call. I love the smooth call.
yeah, I liked your, leaving 0.33 behind when you shoved before.
Yeah, you got to. You gotta get those pay jumps.
Yeah,
You should have gone for all, no?
What do you do
So
on the river?
my bluffs don't wanna jam here. They wanna leave me a few behind. So when he jams, I get to fold. So I fully expected him to never call here and only jam.
Are you
I don't
sure
hate
want your
this.
bluff? Not willing to jump here?
Yeah,
How did
I think
you
I might
come up
have
with that strategy.
my bluffs wanna keep me alive in the tournament still.
I think I would have made it like, I would have left maybe 0.77 behind. I mean, if we're gonna nitpick. But,
What kind of bluff do you have from 15 big lines?
I don't know, ace, queen.
Agent bluff.
Call him and find out.
Let me. What does he bet on the turn? Sorry.
What about 0?
You don't like just betting smaller here then for a thin value and hopefully it comes over the top.
No, I don't know why you like this idea so much. People aren't gonna bluff you enough because you bet small. That's not the way
Yeah.
to get chips in a pot.
Yeah, I don't
People
understand. that.
raise-
People like. to
people raise
call,
too
they
little.
Don't like to bluff the rivers.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the
People
solver raises
miss-
way more than population does.
yeah. People miss river bluffs a lot.
Betting small in the hopes that the opponent gets out of line is not gonna work
It's-
nearly often enough.
It's
for
more
it to
so
win.
like it's more so I'll get them to call as well with worse hands though, Nick. It's not just for that reason.
But
I
what
am
if you
looking
could get him to
called.
call a big bet with worse hands when you have the?
That's why
nuts?
you polarize.
That's-
That's why you polarize. That's why blockers are important. Like you wanna get max value from your value portion. And then you also
Right.
wanna apply maximum pressure with your bluffs. So like
Bingo.
they're forced to bluff catch with marginal holdings sometimes based on like what blockers they have. As opposed, like you're making their life super easy if you give them this little please call me bet on the river. Like their
What's
middle
the
strength
solver
hands
gonna
are
bet?
like,
How much
Thank
does the
you.
solver bet? Curious.
Well,
Is that
very
just ripping it,
interesting,
Louis?
Nick, because you're right. When you bluff here, you don't wanna go for all the cookies.
We give him a
Very
chance to
interesting.
bluff, and we get called by worse hands, right? Which sometimes is better, I guess.
I went really large and I got called by worse hand though, and he's never.
Yeah,
raised it.
bingo, bingo.
So what's that? Just a small bet, Louis?
No,
Barry, it's huge. It's 8.5 big
Very
blind.
interesting, Nick.
80%,
80%.
I really like.
which is
how you think.
about what Nick did roughly.
Honestly, like,
When
I
you-
think their calling ranges are pretty inelastic. If you're betting 10, whatever they call with 10, they're gonna call 12
I
at the end of
agree.
the day.
I just
So
thought,
it's like,
I thought he would never, ever call. I thought if he was calling, he was gonna jam to try to get my bounty and not leave me two bigs.
right, so like, I mean, if you're trying to level him into a call, but based off some information like that of your bet size, like, why didn't he just put it all with his value?
Yeah,
And, you know, I think there's value in that, by the way. It's like, I'm not diminishing any value from that. I think it's good value. People level themselves.
Did he, sorry, on deuces, did cut off fold on the flop?
no, cutoff jammed. I check raised, they jammed with a flush draw. I called flush draw.
Okay,
break.
I saw it, didn't see it. So that, you can jam that free, pretty commonly.
Nice, nice.
I don't wanna
High
jam
five
pocket
bigs,
pair.
spicy.
big
I don't
blind
wanna
versus
jam
cutoff.
twos this late in the tournament for 20 bigs or whatever it was.
Yeah, do you like the call there? Because he had you covered anyway, didn't he?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is the same guy at the final table that check raises me.
Are you sure, sir?
Yeah.
How many bullets do you have to dodge from him? A couple, right?
I mean, I feel like this is just always a flush. Just,
Yeah. He
and
called you check raise.
I'll have a lot of, like, my range is,
What about
No.
ace queen with the ace of heart?
he could have that.
He could have that.
I mean, he's gonna have some bluffs here, like, honestly, he's gonna have some, but I think the equity in calling this at this stage of the tournament just doesn't make sense. Like, you don't have to be an EV warrior. I mean, that's what you've been preaching, right, Louis? Like, and I agree with it totally. Even if we're ahead here 40% of the time, I still think it's a fold
Yeah.
because
No,
we're
just
getting
based-
so deep.
Just based off our range construction as well, like our check raise range is heavily littered with flushes here. So we have a ton of stuff to call with that isn't two pair.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is like a pretty class fold. It's very hard to do, and I think a lot of people make mistakes here.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
know
Yeah.
I've made mistakes here
Yeah.
before.
Definitely.
No, I like it too. I think it's the right play. Folding.
Hard.
And certainly on the
hard.
flop, we expect that he's never really three betting flush draws on the flop, right? Like we expect that he's calling to see a turn and he sees a turn, he
Right.
likes the turn.
And the problem is like even the times you're ahead here, his holdings are gonna have equity against you the vast majority of the time. And it's like, I don't know. It just, the math just doesn't look too attractive. You're not gonna be in this position very often, so I would just be very risk averse.
But it's a weird
If he
spot
doesn't
because
have a
if he
set-
has the flush, like, say he has ace five of hearts, how often is he just gonna call here?
Some players make mistakes here. Yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, the right play would probably be not to push Nick's equity out of the pot.
Yeah,
But I know if I've had the ace there before, I've made that mistake.
Yeah, I think the
Maybe-
solver wants to do this with low flushes. It's a better move with like the jack high flush, 10 high flush.
I mean, to be honest,
Yeah.
Nick's sizing here. Nick's sizing here would not incentivize me to probably raise if I had a big flush here. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It's close. It's so close.
If
I
he
hate the
doesn't have a
spot.
set, the guy's got a big heart at least. At least one heart.
Well, that's the other
Bingo,
thing,
yeah, I
Barry, right?
agree. Sets,
He's got
flushes,
sets.
ace of
He's gonna have
hearts,
sets.
that's his range.
And a set would do this a lot because it wants to protect, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it might be a little spazzy, but I think people would do that a lot.
I think he does it with a flush. I don't even think he does it with a set. I mean, if he does it with a set, really he makes a mistake. I think he does it with a flush. Or at least the ace of hearts.
Love to fold it.
So one of my first big questions is what is our turn strategy on the six of hearts?
Oh, we're betting it a ton, I'm sure.
Just like sizings and like the range. Yeah, I agree that we're
Small.
betting.
So
Small
it,
double barrel
whenever,
small.
whenever the turn connects really well with your flop check raise range as a flush completer will like this.
Yeah, we're gonna
Especially
barrel
one
small
near
a lot,
the
right?
8. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna
we're
just a
deep
lot of
pipping
small
like
betting.
78%. Yeah, and your sizing's dead on third pot a very large proportion of the time.
And he is supposed to be jamming. And we beat, from what I see here, we beat the jamming range of the solver.
Yeah, you're doing quite well against the jamming range of the solver specifically,
Yeah.
which is gonna make it, it's gonna make it like a call. but-
Very.
Was all those jams with a heart mostly the solver was using?
It was big
I'm-
pairs on a
I'm
heart
certain,
typically.
I'm certain it's
Yeah.
hard with a heart.
The king of hearts or ace of hearts by the look of it, I guess.
Now, if you just, alright, so give him a raising range. Like, just make him like a not all in size, like. Pick the size that most of the flushes do.
He's not
What
really
it-
raising though.
Okay, he doesn't really raise flushes, so. Nix that.
Louis, here's my one question with this solve. Is that 1.2 on the flop? Is that his preferred sizing? If not, we may be getting a slightly weird range.
No, it's, I went for the 70% range. Cause if we use the 2, it just, we grab only 10%.
Okay, no, that I agree, that's better, because given wherever he has more of his range, however the solver chooses it. Yep.
Maybe we can look at it the other way as well. So.
Yeah,
here,
fair enough. We might
Hey.
find that his range changes in some important way.
Hang on, I messed it up. And raise 6, he calls, the turn is 6. Same strategy, with that small. Around 5.75 and still very similar strategy for both players.
Yeah, it didn't really change too much.
Okay, kings. Under the gun open with stuff.
Yeah, this one I wasn't sure on. This one seemed a lot closer in my mind to a call or jam.
What?
Going to three
I
bet
like the
here.
jam. I
Yeah,
don't
could
think
you
it's
three
ever a
bet to,
call.
It's a
Could you three bet
PKO,
to
everyone
5.5?
covers you, man. Come on. I'm always.
That's what I
jamming.
decided on. I just. Yeah,
This guy doesn't have really folds, I can see. I mean, you really hit the bottom of his range because. He should try to eat you alive. Then I board, only 1K card for big blind, you can range that small here. Without the diamond, this combo wants to check more. Also, right under the 10, 8s, 9s, and 7s probably wanna check a lot. Alright, checking, although it's probably a range bet.
And if you're checking sevens, they're bet fives,
Hmm,
bet fives, check sevens.
you're supposed to be range betting here. It's a 10-eye board and there's just 1K card for him. Open to Rafa Jack low jack under the gun. 20 versus big blind, just making sure. Under the gun. Big blind. Then 10, 6 big, 10, 6 deuce. Big blind checks. How often do we that? Yeah, we range that.
Okay. And we don't have fives.
Oh, all it. What are we dealing with? Ace king, jack on the flop, let's go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, it seems like trouble to me. What do you guys think?
It is a horrible spot, but I still like the raise. I don't think you want to just flat call, even though it's
What
against
do
a
you
big
guys think
stack.
here?
You just
I
call.
think I'll probably lay it down, but it's tight. But I think here, you're definitely in a bad situation.
It's a
Can't
PKO,
lay this
This
Barry.
is under,
Barry, you can't lay it down. You cannot lay it down.
You need to read
it's
this
a,
guy's
it's an
crazy
under,
tight.
it's a 4-bet. It's a 4-bet from early position. You know you're up against aces or kings there.
No, you
No,
don't.
Shouldn't
No, you
be.
don't.
You shouldn't be.
Maybe.
You need quite a read.
And the other part about this that Nick hasn't yet mentioned, I was watching this hand. Pocket aces here had $1,000 bounty.
Yeah.
Like,
That's 20 buy-ins.
So if
like
it-
you can't fold this spot, dude. He's gonna have queens here.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
gonna
He
have
has
jacks
queens.
here.
And like, if the player is spicy and shows up with ace queen, you know, every once in a while, like, great. But yeah, queens, jacks, easy.
No, my stack.
This tournament has sent Nick some trials. This is
Woosah.
one of them along the way.
Alright,
And is the reason
I-
that we, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, tell Louis to unsort by VPIP so we could see the short stack stuff now.
Yes.
Cause short stacked ICM I think is important to look at, cause some of these spots were crazy close and I don't know if I played them right.
Yeah, honestly, the folds, start becoming almost more interesting to look at in some spots than the VPIPs.
So on that ace king hand, is the reason we didn't jam pre is that we had 40, we just had, our stack was too big?
Yeah, way too many big blinds to jam.
Okay, right. So we did it with the king. So it had nothing to do with the hand class. Okay.
Correct. Just stacked up.
We never saying there's a situation where we fold ace king here though. Is that what we're saying? Because that's what it sounds like.
At that stacked up, without, I mean, like, no.
Now, if it
Stone
goes,
bubble?
okay, Barry, if you're on like the button and it goes
Louis, what time
open,
was this hand at?
if
I
it
was gonna
goes
say
like
7
open
PM.
3-bet, 4-bet
again?
call or something.
7
crazy.
PM.
7.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was in late position, but where it's an under the gun raise with a
I
big
think ace
stack,
jack suited
we
can min
free
raise
bet,
there.
he jams. It just seems like it's a cooler spot.
It's too nitty to fold.
Just a folder?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did ace king with this queen. Oh no.
No, we
don't.
didn't. No, we didn't.
Again?
Jesus.
It's emotionally tormenting him is what it's doing.
It was,
Down.
Nick, is this the final table or is it the last two tables or what?
No, this is like last 5
is-
tables or something.
Okay.
4
3 or
tables.
4 now.
Oh my god, we keep losing our stack and then we fold when we get two pair?
Yes, that happens a lot.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Mic isn't working.
I would have
You
flopped
You
Oh,
weren't
top pair
even
in that one.
tempted. You weren't even tempted to punt the queen 7 suited in there, Nick, either.
Two big blinds. Do you know how many players here are like, oh, well, I got two big blinds. I'm just gonna shove any two here and move on with my life.
Yeah, that's kind of why I
Long
wanted
shot.
to highlight in this
That's
session is
me.
that like, a lot of people will get down to even like 10 big blinds, but you don't have to just jam any two. You can still kind of sit like my goal the past like 30 minutes or hour in this tournament has been, well, I might be able to get the next ladder. Well, maybe I can get the next ladder. And that
Make it
continued
to the
on until I got
button.
second place.
Make it to the button, right?
That is really true, cuz I that's why I even cashed yesterday was because I kept, remember I was so stacked and I kept on, normally before I would just punt and just, oh, I got 10 big blinds, I'm just going all in. You know?
Yeah,
you're
dude,
right.
you were pretty emotionally tormented at this point. Like it was just
Yeah, I was drained.
pain after pain after pain. But it was like, after, like you would sit out a hand, basically mentally catch up and then, play the cards you get. Like coming back off this is pretty wild.
Whew,
It's always the river too.
dramatic, right on the river.
Oh, boy. What? Okay. Okay.
I think I have to jam any ace, any king here off three for sure.
Think so as well.
Yeah.
So here, are we shoving ace two as well? I think that yes.
Any ace?
Just jammed king deuce
Yeah.
on three and felt like a jerk.
And that was, and the leaving the two behind, the 0.2 or 0.3 behind was the laddering thing again, in case it goes.
Yes, so I actually, when he called on the flop, when he c-bet, I tanked until I made the ladder and then I called.
Oh, you waited for somebody else. Oh, you timed somebody else out.
What do you guys do here?
Pretty straightforward
Of
call.
course.
Tank
straightforward
and call
call.
if there's a ladder.
Is there anybody
fair.
folding here?
No, you can't
Nah.
fold. He's
Six
jamming
big
any
blinds?
two.
6 big blinds? Yeah.
You have an ace, dude.
He's jamming anything. He's
Any
bounty
king.
hunting.
So no
Yeah, of
What
one
course,
about any
here.
king?
So we're at 23 here, at 24. No one in the room is folding.
Not all
I'm not
five, dude.
folding.
Not all
Good,
five.
You get a lot of like 60-40 spots, but then you just, you run your 60% and cross your fingers.
Yeah, like this right here. I mean, you have to just be honest with yourself. If you have 5 big blinds, you're gonna have to get lucky. So if you can find a spot where you have 5 to 10% equity advantage pre-flop, you
Yep.
just kinda gotta go with it.
Oh, yeah.
And blind versus a big stack when you're small, he's jamming any two.
So we can shove.
Actually, in a bounty.
I mean, we can call
It's
king
one.
twos there
What?
also.
Oh, that's
I
a
like this.
jam. That's just a jam, right?
Final two
So
tables. I like this. I think it's
final
fine.
two tables, big stack in the big blind, we don't really have much fold
60
equity.
62 big blinds. This
No.
guy's been just knocking people off left and right.
So
This is an easy
it's-
fold.
I don't think it's easy at all. I think it's very, very close.
Too many people behind and too many big stacks that can just call off.
There's only one person here who can really call him like without impunity. Like, that's just, it's not gonna affect them and it's the big stack. In the big
Yeah.
My
blind,
problem with
so
this hand is they always have two overs. We're just always flipping.
Yeah.
Galen,
But there's also
Yo.
5 other players that wake up with bigger hands. Like this would be much better if you was on the button or the small blind, right?
Yeah,
I think
flipping
button
shots.
is-
For
It's
sure,
a
but we're also a
mandatory
short
jam.
stack. We're a short stack, Bear. We can't wait forever. We're gonna have to pick spots and go with them. The question
True.
is this good enough to go with it?
Not for an ICM spot, no, I don't think it is. Because of our position more than anything else.
I'm having a tough time with this one. So for a chippy V solve, right, which is different, of course, this is worth 7/10 of a big. To jam.
Easy
There's
jam
not
and
much
easy.
ICM. Yeah, right. There's not much ICM pressure on us. I assume that like there's this other 9 and maybe another 10 to 15 big blind stack at the other table, but there's no, like, we're not waiting out a 2 big blind stack, are we?
So
Can
I
we
disagree
run
because
into
I think there's a
solver?
ton of ICM pressure because the difference between like this guy at my table is first in the tournament, but the guy in third has like 25 bigs or something.
It's like him.
Like if I double up, I'm back in it.
Yeah.
Let's run it.
Wait, but that's where I'm seeing that there's not tons of ICM pressure on you because winning chips actually meaningfully increases your chance of
So Tim,
running and
like,
making a deep
a
run.
Tim.
double up right now, a double up right now could be the difference between like him finishing for like, I don't know, $1,500 and like $13,000. Like him running this 9 big blinds of equity right here easily has $1,000 of raw equity locked up into it just at this stage of the tournament with this many players left.
Also, we've
Like,
been reviewing a lot recently of like, successful tournament players, and this is becoming a trend, right? People
Now, like,
fold king, queen here, people fold sevens here, people fold nines, and it's people that are big winners
Yeah.
in the game, so we need to learn from the guys that are winning and Nick got a pretty big score here, so. you
So
think
like,
it's a
if you
fold?
really, if you wanted to take an
If he
analytical
tells you
approach
it's
to
a
this.
fold, I mean,
If you did wanna
What-
take an analytical approach to this, what you would do is you would run this in HRC. And lock the big blinds call range to like 70% or something. Make it absurd. Just for like example
s-
purposes. And then
I
if it
think
pushes like,
ICM Isa.
and then if it pushes big blind, if it pushes fives to like indifference. Then it's a lot closer, but if it
Alright, then you
starts
just
becoming
pass.
quite negative EV at that point, then it's like. It's a no brainer, right?
I agree with you, Louis. I think ICM Isa, because we're the shortest stack, is going to tell us to jam. But I think, like you said, better players are folding in these spots, in these positions.
To answer your question, Bill, I think sevens is razor thin close here, like. Ugh, I don't know what I do with sevens. It's all
I
about
think
the
I-
big blind here.
I
to
think
be
I go with
honest.
sevens.
Yeah,
It's,
sevens may be a go.
but
The
that's
idea
like,
is like, you don't wanna be flipping with the big blind for your entire chip stack. Like this
again,
right
like,
here,
this
this
is
is a fold.
miserable.
I'm just folding this here, like. This range, our range is not doing great versus this, so I'm just out of the way.
Both the guys in the small and big blind could get stacked here. Such a good deal.
down to 4 big blinds again?
Yeah, it was a wild tournament. Church.
Amen. Ooh, king on the river. We didn't even need it.
Didn't need it.
So king five suited, we folded too on the button. We are also folding it.
That king three suited, we didn't open the.
Oh.
Three hands back, this one. It's folded to us in the
Yeah.
cutoff.
Yeah, you have 10 big blinds and everyone wants to eat you alive. What are you gonna
Okay.
do?
They're
Easy fold.
calling with better kings and better aces, and everything that does call us that we're beating still has like north of 40% equity.
Okay,
I just looked
I
up,
wanna-
it's a chip EV fold,
the king three or the five,
Yeah.
five. Okay,
king three, no king three.
Fold times?
Look at the turn, look at the turn, look at the turn.
A hell of a turn.
Good massive stand.
Oh, big booties.
Microphone in.
hey, Yas,
Is it working now?
now it is.
Welcome.
Strange.
This one was
I'm
tough too,
I'm trying to Google
'cause-
speak.
I remember this one.
Yeah, I kinda wanted to call to just see if I flopped an ace or a nine and then run my equity against this guy, but
I like a fold here a lot.
so many bigs to lose. It's
I'm folding.
a third of my
I
stack.
don't mind.
This is a
Pretty
To be
scam.
honest, you're basically tied for like. I don't know, third or fourth place in the tournament at this point. I remember when you were
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
like. Resigning yourself to calling off here. Like, you were resigning yourself to hitting a single pair. And stacking off this tournament that you had a mountain of equity locked up in. Because you got baited by this 4.5 big blinds. Like the 38, 40 big blind stack has aces in this range. Way better hands than you all day.
Yeah,
Like hitting an ace on the flop. And having to stack off with like a pair of aces, cuz you would, if you continued here, would be an absolute disaster, I think.
yeah, it
Yep.
depends really a lot on the quality of the bounty as well.
The bounty
Yeah.
was massive. It was
And
It was
$1,000, I
over
think.
a K, yeah.
In contrast to like the fives hand here, there's a lot of ICM pressure on us. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 people at this table who are much shorter than us.
I
Yeah,
think I
dude, like-
wanna go here.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
I
looking
like
at
to
the
fold.
bounties and the strength of the hand.
So
I
like,
prefer a
something,
jam more than a call.
man, something I've been using as like a guiding light in these late PKO spots is. You just have to be respectful and know your place at the dinner table here.
Yeah, this is
And
daddy,
Yeah.
right?
Big Papa has bellied up, and he's eating right now, and you're gonna get hurt.
He
if
wants,
you try
he
to-
wants the T-bone steak.
Right, yeah, that's like the alpha male lion right there, and if you try bellying up next to that guy, he is gonna rip you up. Like, it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, if he
I
just
just-
if he doesn't hit an ace, then he can just pull the trigger and you have to fold.
now it's like, okay, this is, situations like this are gonna happen, like where he's gonna show you worse hands and you just win. But the problem, you just don't get to play police versus that guy, cuz that could have easily been ace king.
What do you guys
Yeah.
think about this spot now? Good fold still?
Yeah, still a good
Well, it's
fold.
still correct fold, isn't it? Like
I
Galen
thought,
said.
I thought this one was like close-ish. I kind of, if I was gonna play this, I kind of wanted to ISO to get like very live hands, like the 10-8 suiteds of the world out of cutoffs range, hoping that he doesn't call them off. But.
Yeah, that's
it
that's a big
sucks.
hope. That's a-
Look at this scam. We
That's
were
a big,
down
that's
my
a big,
God.
big hope.
good.
I hear you, man. Like, I hear you. Like, I've just been in this spot where Nick's got a middling ace and he just jams and the guy's got like, I don't know, man, he like flats
Ace
kings or
king.
something there,
Or
ace
aces.
king.
Yeah. But with
And-
the ICM pressure and a 17 big blind stack, we should have so many profitable rejams here. Like, we get dealt sevens and we can rejam against somebody. We get dealt ace jack off and we can rejam. Like, we have spots.
If I remember correctly, this guy was calling off a bit wide as well, which makes it a little more dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like he may just decide like, I want that $1,000 booty
Oh
and I'm
my
not
goodness,
folding.
this one was hilarious.
I
Flipping,
think
look at
Galen
this.
also we should consider future playability as a factor, the same way, the same reason we didn't punt off those pocket fives. It's the reason
at
why you
this
don't want to punt off
monster.
your entire.
He was
Right,
not
yeah, well,
giving a fuck.
there's FGS considerations, right? Like, the future game is very
Yes.
valuable at this point.
Yes.
It's also because the way Gigi set up is that your chips increase significantly at the final table, so it
Yes.
hurts to
Absolutely.
lose anything.
Absolutely.
Right, yep. That's very true. So in like, instead of losing like one big blind here, he would be losing like 3 big blinds or 2.5 big blinds for every 1 big blind he would lose here.
I think I just wanted to point out the good fold of that queen seven off there, where nothing good can happen to you, but it's a chippy V call. Like 3 hands ago. That's good. Good fold.
Was it in the big blind?
Yeah, in the big blind, exactly. It's a chippy V call, but it's better.
Dude, I
just not
remember
playing
this.
that
I remember
crap.
the spot. This spot right here was so pivotal for you. This was like,
Ace queen,
this was like it right here for you.
it's the ace queen.
Like, when you win that spot right there, it's like you've signed your ticket to the final table and you've got chips to play ball. Like, you were like second or third in chips here.
And it was a big booty, right?
Oh, we're not at the final table yet. I thought.
Not so big.
No, this is 2 tables.
So I didn't miss the ace ten hand yet, right?
No.
I don't think so. No, no, you didn't.
The ace jack. Oh, the ace 10, yeah, the ace 10 and the ace jack.
Yeah, I mean, I
We
never
just
gonna look at it. I'm
jam
just curious.
queen
I know
eight.
that's stuck in Nick's.
We just
call,
jam
but-
queen eight off from the small blind there.
Yeah, same question about the queen eight off.
Honestly,
Yeah.
he can jam with impunity here, almost any 2 cards. Like, this 10 big blind guy is, they're literally on the final table bubble, I think.
That's what I thought,
So
yeah.
he can really abuse this guy.
There was
You guys think
another
it's better to
shorty
jam,
at
or you
the-
think this is pretty even?
No,
I
there
like
was a-
jamming, to be honest, myself.
There was another shorty at the other table as well that also had about 5 bigs. So that guy with 10 just
I think we can shove their 80% of our range.
Yeah,
You're probably
Okay.
close, Maxi. It's gonna be very aggressive, I think.
Final table of a Sunday major event with 12,000 players. Here we are.
This is like the
Oh,
Sunday
God.
most majorist event.
Yeah.
How many hours is this in now, Nick? To the final
7
table?
hours in, more or less.
10,
7.
Like 6 or 7, yeah.
7.
Where is? What is going on?
Too good?
I could
Good
fold to
hand?
fold to
Or
this
do we
sizing
fold to chip leader?
and this sizing.
Okay.
2 reasons.
Yeah.
Stupid client.
Don't really want to mix it up with the big stack, do we? We're not
You know
gonna
what,
start
Nick?
3 betting this.
I think your mistake is here.
You on three bet?
I want you to fold.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
you should
yeah,
fold.
yeah, no, we talked about this hand after the fact. Yeah, this is like, you just don't need to defend these portions of the range versus that guy. It's
What are
the,
you
it's the
talking
same
about?
thing.
Do you think it would
Click-
be useful to pull up pre-flop academy for this one?
Yeah, you
Click,
pull up
click
pre-flop
right,
academy.
click,
I think
click,
it's gonna mix three.
click it
bet.
once.
I think it's gonna. mix-
No, like, there's no way I'm calling this hand. I'm never calling here.
Yeah, never
Okay, good,
call,
good,
but it
good,
might
good,
three
good.
bet some. It's gonna, I think it's gonna
Oh.
three bet or fold.
It's not that one then. Okay,
No, like, there's a 0%
Use
chance
the
I'm
later
ever
one.
calling here. If anything, I'm three betting.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Okay. Versus that
What
guy,
if it
yeah,
was ace
yeah.
ten? What about if it was ace ten suited? Are we still free betting? Or are you gonna
No,
call the
That
ace ten
call,
suited in the
right?
cutoff
Lean
there?
towards calling.
This could be the bottom of the difference range or the top of the folding range. Super.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
I
So
like that.
like asking
You're
these
talking-
questions about playing aggressively versus that guy with 100 big blinds. It is suicide.
good.
Like we just did my
Yeah.
hand history review where I'm basically in the same arrangement the other day. Like, we should have learned, like, you don't build pots versus these big stacks. When you're like in a middling stack position. It's just, you're setting
Get out of
yourself
the
up for
way.
failure.
Yeah, you build a range that's just like, that's just nutted. You just go at them with value.
Yes.
So-
Premium, that's it.
You guys, fold or raise here?
I'll fold.
Fold.
I'm folding.
Fold.
Folds.
You mean pre-flop?
Yeah.
Oh, I would open.
He
Okay.
opened.
I
and
meant
then
RFI.
we have-
Oh, sorry.
not- Sorry.
Oh, RFI. Yeah, RFI for sure.
It seemed close to me.
I mean, I would open it, yeah.
Fair.
I'm not.
Fair.
calling it.
But with the
What if
general
it was
reason,
suit-
people are
what if it
probably
was
under
suited?
three betting you.
I think it's a good fold.
Well,
Suited
there was,
Yeah.
combo gets a little
I thought it
closer,
was a good
but-
fold, but there was a 3 on the flop.
Yeah, I know. I still think it's a good fold.
I think you're supposed to fold here. With these small pairs now.
Even
agree.
immediately after the hand, I wish I had opened because I had the big blind tagged as a fish and I have him covered.
Fair.
We're never seeing this flop regardless.
Yeah, probably not. This small blind was pretty aggro and out of line.
Good fold.
Well, the two guys to his left were the most, they were playing the most pots.
Him being aggro seems like a even better reason to fold the threes because you don't
Yeah,
want to.
for sure.
9 on the river. Look at this. This is how you win money. Here. 9 on the
Yeah, what is it?
river. Give me 3,500 bucks. I'm folding.
There we go.
Right, so we open big blind defense.
You know
Bet
what?
Standard
small.
C bet.
You know what? Here. I see merit and like Bert Stevens like to check.
Just fold.
against, Like, big stacks here. One
Yeah.
street, he's probably gonna bet 2 streets, right? But he likes to pot control a little bit, here. So.
I think
nothing
that-
here, Whether you should bet here or check sometimes.
I think without a
You
heart,
know-
we definitely want to bet. I think he might actually want to bet larger.
Dude.
You don't wanna.
You know,
bet
like what
big.
you're saying, I hear you, Louis, and I kinda like that. I didn't even think about checking this flop, but when you're in a pot where you're covered like this, I think there's actually some good merit in playing like very defensively, not wanting to build bots here.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's,
for sure.
I would check
it's
here.
not
I
like a
to-
GTO play, like you look at an ace high board like this and you're like, it's a range bet small, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is
Bert
Also,
Stevens
with this
because-
Always
ICM.
says that
Definitely GTO with
against
the
big
ICM.
stack on the final table, you don't wanna be put in the box, so you don't wanna
I know.
start to do that.
It almost
And
becomes a,
conversely,
it almost
if you-
becomes a, it becomes a one street hand at this SPR as well, doesn't it? We
And
don't
with-
want to be
with this
starting to build the
ICM.
pot too much.
With this ICM, yeah. If you
There's
bet the
merit
flop,
in
you
being
can think about checking
cautious
turn.
And approaching the spot cautiously. We go
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
bet.
So
Raise
would
the
we
check
want
raise.
to, would we want to bet an ace that has a heart in it more often? Or
Yes.
has range connectivity, or has a better kicker in
Nope.
this spot?
No, actually,
Right, 'cause,
we think we
like,
bet
ace 10 is
more
the worst.
often without the heart.
Ace 10 is the worst ace we're opening here, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
offsuit.
close,
So,
close to it,
wouldn't-
yeah.
wouldn't that be a good one to fit into our check back range? Cause our offsuit ones are gonna be kings, queens, aces here. with the
Oh,
bet.
there's a lot of merit in
We
it.
could check like ace 7 suited, ace 8 suited, ace 9 suited.
Anyhow, we bet with top pair, we face a check
Yep.
raise. This is kind of a standard board, so we have to call here, right?
Yeah, dude, my alarm bells are going off at this point. Like my stomach would be sick and I would just be like head shaking, not happy. And then
Yeah.
this happens.
Hold on one second. Louis, you said this is a standard board? I didn't hear the word.
Check raise, standard check raise spot.
Standard
Like he's
check
gonna
raise
have a lot.
spot for the big line here for me.
He's gonna have a
because
lot of
there's a
combos
flush
that check raise
draw, it's
here.
like an ace high board. We range bet.
Yeah,
the
he's gonna have a lot
flop.
of
He's the
he's
big
gonna have a lot of
stack,
gut
he's gonna
shots
wanna
and things
bully
like that.
us.
Flush draws.
It's a naturally attractive check raise for
Yes.
sure.
And now we're in the box. What do you guys like to do?
And it's a naturally attractive check raise for him because we so clearly we have an ace or we don't. And when we
You
don't,
know,
we fold.
looking at this yesterday, I was still curious. I was
He can
putting
just
him on
break us.
ace 8, ace 4, ace deuce, all kind of pocket deuce, pocket 4 kind of stuff. But today it's clear for me what he has. He just has 5-3.
Yes,
No.
5-3 is very reasonable.
Yeah, he just has 5-3.
So
And
I
it's an
think
ace
the
high
hand
board,
we
so he thinks
see,
you were well connected with the ace and that you're not gonna fold.
I think it's
Doesn't
very
wanna-
easy for
He
him.
does not want the heart to roll off. Here. So he has
I think
What
five.
do
it's
you-
very easy for him to have flush draws here that wanna put me in the box. But also in retrospect, after seeing this guy's later hands,
Yeah,
I think
Hey.
he could have ace 7, ace 6, ace 5 and be going for value.
he could also have ace deuce, ace 4 and ace 8, right?
He could.
Good.
That's the thing, we just don't know. I mean, it's just like, it would just suck to bust here and he's showing a lot of strength. Like, I'd be like so miserable.
So what
This
do you
is
guys like to do
absolutely
here?
miserable.
I use like 2 or 3 minutes on this one decision.
I mean, I always can't fold in games. I just thought we had too many chips. I feel like we have enough chips to battle. And I didn't wanna go broke yet. Was
What
my
about
thought.
what about the simple logic of at 20 big blinds, top pair is enough to check, to stack off?
That's
a
valid.
nice
as
hand.
PV.
No. That's a chippy V thing and that is a good way to lose a mountain of money if you're at a final table. You applying
I
that.
agree.
Thank
You
you.
gotta
Applying that
adjust
logic.
that.
So
I mean,
if
that's like
Nick
that is a
goes
fair
for it
starting
here,
point, but that's not the end of the story.
if Nick goes for it here, there's a non-zero chance that he lose around $20,000.
Yes, very much. Very close, very realistic chance, actually. I
Yeah.
would even say.
Yeah, more than realistic, even though this guy is splashy and we found out later that, you know, he could have been bluffing here.
Part of the problem is his
Right.
bluffs have a lot of equity.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
if he's bluffing reasonably with with 5 high hearts, he's got 30% equity here.
So
Yeah.
I think this is where Nick makes like one of the toughest decision in the game. A lot of players would just go with this. top
And I
pair,
unplugged
mean,
my computer.
Yeah, but I think Nick made the right play here. He stepped up in his game and his character and just hold it.
This,
Simple as
this kind
that.
of stuff right here, I think is what separates good from great players, to be quite
Exactly.
honest.
So he waited.
Like being able
Yeah.
to find this spot and like maintain your mental composure. And just move on past the results of that one instance is. Yeah,
This here is the
not a-
difference between 7th and 2nd.
Mhm.
So the same as the Queen 8, which was a good lay down earlier, the 2 pairs. It's
Like I honestly, if Nick would have made that, if he would have clicked that call, I would not have blamed him to do it. Like, it's probably, it's probably correct. Like, you could probably run that in all these different simulations and stuff and it'd say it would be a profitable call, but you know.
Yeah, like you counterfeit
the way
his
I
2
see it as
pairs.
well. The guy's is either bluffing you with air or he's got you smashed. That's
Yeah,
the way I
so
see that hand
Open
there.
this.
I don't think I get to open. I think it's either a jam or a fold. Like, this is just the fringe miserable part of my range here.
Yeah,
The same guy, like you see, okay, you see these 255 big blind stacks. If you're opening not all in into those guys, you're just asking
Yeah.
for trouble. Like they've got the chips, they can apply infinite amounts of pressure to you. Like you have to leverage any kind of fold equity you might have pre-flop
Yeah,
if you're
it's
gonna
just-
V-pip into them.
I keep getting these hands that I'm like, this is kinda nice, but I don't think I get to RFI.
Right, you have to ask
Yeah.
yourself, do you wanna jam that hand in?
Yes, this one.
Yeah, this one's good. I like this. And when you get called by this guy, you're just ahead of this almost always. Like it's
Yeah.
super, super good.
Gut wrenching ace on the flop though.
Seeing like this stuff right here is like why there's value in like, passing up the razor thin spots. Because you can find spots like that he was just in, usually if you wait long enough, that it's just, or like a blind versus blind spot where you just know it's gonna be good EV. Like you're just gonna be in a great spot.
So if he had min raised, I would 3-bet here, but because he 3x'd it, I think I just fold. Like, I
Becomes
don't like
more of
calling.
a-
It's too many chips to put in out of position.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah, I
think
don't
we
like
have
the
three
three
bets
bigs
at ICM here
is-
without the ace or a king in our hand.
Don't get why you would have an opponent that you're
So I
playing.
don't like the idea of three betting. I'm torn between calling and folding, and since he size up, I think we should maybe fold.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree with that.
at a final table, it's still a good 3-bet. Versus
I
a
would,
button
I
range.
think if you look at suited aces and suited kings, you'll never go wrong here. Jack
Can we-
ten,
The problem
not
is
as
that our
confident
free
as
bet
you
is gonna
are,
be a
so-
third of our chips.
I'm not either. Can we tag this and use
Yeah.
a tool to look at it later?
yeah, I can do it
It'll
now.
be a third of our chips if we free bet, in which case we should be going all in, right?
No, 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 no.
Which
Barry,
is
it's
why it
lighting
was-
money on fire, man. It's lighting money
Which
on
is
Yeah,
why
it's
fire.
like-
No,
that's
that's why I'm
hardcore,
saying
like-
it's more of a fold, Galen.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but
Yeah,
we
I would-
should,
I would
I think
agree
we have a
with-
3-bet, I think we have a 3-bet call off and a 3-bet fold range. I think the 3-bet fold range is like some weaker offsuit aces.
Well, and the other
yeah,
thing is you don't
this
have to
doesn't fit
3-bet
into it.
huge here to get the job done. Like,
Exactly.
you don't have to-
Exactly. Yeah, you size down in these final table ICM spots. You can,
Mhm.
he raises 3, you could 3-bet to like 8 to 9 out of position.
I
I'd
think,
agree.
yeah, I think 9 would be very reasonable, or 8.5, like you said. I think
Yep.
those get the job done.
I think because
Cause you're
of his
just
bigger
snapping
size,
it off,
don't
like you do
get
that with
three
ace
bet here.
king and stuff.
Like if he bets 2, you just go 6.2 or 6.5 big blinds and you're not all in.
We don't have free bet, or we don't open to 3 ever, right?
No,
You
no, that's
shouldn't,
not a
you
thing.
shouldn't.
That's not a thing. People do weird, stupid stuff though.
So
Yes.
against the
Good.
button, we're not blocking the range that he wants to have because he's opening 7s and 8s and 6s here. So Jack 10 isn't that bad.
Yeah, I agree.
It's an interesting ICM spot too, because the stacks are pretty even, which increases ICM pressure on us by a lot. And
Yes.
increases ICM pressure
Yeah.
on him.
Yes.
Which is why our 3-bet should work a lot there.
Yeah, like I would
Just
not
a
be
s-
surprised to see you 3-betting this guy, with some polar combos, just because risk premiums are high for you and him. Which is usually a pretty good recipe for that. But it does usually kind of tilt towards the blocker oriented combos.
Yeah,
Is he cutoff or is he button?
Button.
Yeah, okay, now I see it. Yeah. I saw cutoff a second ago.
I'm looking at the different models, basically,
Yeah,
and.
I mean, that 30,
did-
30, 30 is not so wrong. It's kind of similar.
Yeah,
yeah.
The only thing here is like there are the 220s, but I don't think that's actually a huge difference because it's not like they're about to bust. They still have play.
They're not even in the hand either, are they? So
this one is good, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're in the hand though, for the ICM.
Yeah,
bet,
exactly.
Just their
Like if
existence.
there was
Okay,
a,
but-
if there's a 2 big blind stack that's not in the hand, that
They
dramatically
fold.
tightens me up here.
This one, the small blind has 2 stacks that is shorter than him, the 2 tens. And he's playing against a guy that covers him.
Yeah.
Kind of very similar, and we don't give it any action. We don't have,
Right.
okay, so this is.
That's versus,
all-
That's
that's
fair.
versus jam.
Yeah. that
I
would be
think,
good.
I think that's a little extreme, but it's interesting to note. Cause like, I think us at 30 versus them at 20, everyone has play, and so we.
What are you looking
then-
at there, Louis? What's that you're
Maybe,
looking at
maybe
there?
this one. Ah, see, it goes crazy a lot on a lot of my models, so maybe you're not too out of line here. Against a min raise, though, right? Maybe jamming here has potential.
Yeah. He seemed fishy, though. I don't know if he's calling wide or what.
And if 3 big blinds just always means he has pocket nines and is calling off, that's horrific.
He's showing. Oh, they're
That's a
going.
good hand history.
Oh, another page jump. Nope, 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 never mind.
Negative.
Negative.
Makes it almost all even stacks instead.
Yeah. It was miserable ICM.
What do you guys like to do here?
Do you jam this? No.
I like jamming this probably at some frequency,
Oh,
but I
I'm
would
getting
prefer like,
heartburn.
You bet fold.
Never.
no. It's either you're folding this pre or you're jamming it. It's the only two
Never
options
calling.
with this combo.
Yeah, I like calling.
The small pairs that we're folding, are you folding them on the cutoff and the button too? Just.
Why are
I
you
think they
asking?
might be jamming the
Four-
small
we
pairs.
folded- No, Nick folded, he folded fours a few hands ago, and I think he folded threes or fives recently.
Yeah, he doesn't play any small pairs.
Right, so even on the button and the cutoff,
Yeah. Well, Nick,
Small
Would you-
pair is ICM shit.
Yep.
It depends on the
Right.
scenario. I can't paint it with like a wide brush, like stack depths matter.
I mean, here,
Bounties matter.
Scott wants to know if you open the button with threes.
threes and fours.
Into a big stack, no.
Never.
Into
But
stacks you cover.
Yeah, it's situation dependent, right? Like I can't just give you, I'm
Okay.
never gonna open them on a final table, but there's significant ICM pressure with those hands. They don't really perform well post flop.
Yep, I like
No,
that
not
answer.
not as low SPR. No,
So this
and the
hand
chip
was
stacks.
crazy, I remember. Look at this one. So. This guy
Yeah.
opens, this guy calls, this guy calls. They get this flop. This guy see bet small. Wow, kind of big. This guy raised. And this is the guy I think that raised us previously, right?
Yes, this was when I raised with top 2 pair and he
This is
the
our
turn card was
opponent that,
flush
yeah,
and he jammed.
the queen 8 hand.
Yeah, and the one with the ace, where you had the ace 10, same guy.
Yep.
So he raised here. Gets his, ace pairs, goes all in. And there's a 10 big blind stack here. And the pay jumps are like minimum 5,000 at this point. So he jumps. He calls. Shows now ace 3 into the nuts. Thank you for playing, sir.
So,
Makes you
yeah,
think
it's a
he's
terrible
out of line
check
against
raise.
you.
Terrible check raise.
Yeah.
Just
And
an
this guy's
absolute
just like,
nightmare.
this guy's gonna have the time of his life, okay? Because all he did on the whole final table was to fold. Now watch him,
Yeah,
watch him. He's
he has a
gonna
better tournament
fold.
than Nick.
Oh, he plays a hand. The fan, oh, check, bet, oh, he folds.
Okay, Christmas is still coming for that guy.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
shit.
Damn.
Holy.
GG. You're never
Yeah, this
folding.
is- No, you're never folding. Oh my god.
It's what dreams are made of right there.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Those are your poker dreams coming true before your eyes,
8 queen suited call off is terrible there.
Oh, it's horrific.
to say the least.
He's just trying as hard as possible to punt off his stack.
He is.
So
And then
why not?
not defending his
open
big
there?
blind.
That seems like.
because he
an open.
just needs to sit back and take second place at the
Because
minute.
this chip leader to my left is gonna 3-bet or jam on me like 40-50% of the time.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think
that
this
is
one's
here
close,
now.
to be honest. I think that probably makes it in the VPIP range, though.
Yeah, I didn't see this live. If it's as extreme as you're saying, then sure. I think it's probably close. I think it's a
Going
theory,
on
theory
here,
raise.
tell us about your
I think
thought
you need
process.
I think you need to call this.
There's a 15
think this
big
is-
blind stack and he's not giving me an easy time on anything. This is the
No,
kind of
but
board.
you could flop the nuts.
Barry, the day you win 25,000, we'll ask about how you defend your
See-
big line with 4 left.
See,
Okay,
Nick put his hand to the stove earlier. Nick had his hand burned. His hand is healed. And he's not gonna make that mistake again.
It's true. This is the same like one with ace 9-0 that from my whatever tournament I made a deep run in and busted.
Yeah. He
Like,
doesn't wanna,
Would you
he
play-
doesn't
would
wanna
you
have to
play it
fold
if
an
it was
ace
suited?
again. He doesn't
you
wanna
play
have
it
to
if it
fold
was
an
suited?
ace.
yeah, if it's
Louis?
suited, of course.
Right.
But
That's
like,
only 3%
if the
better.
flop is ace 5-3, jack 7, and he triple barrels, like what do we do? Like.
You fold and you cry and you're in last place now. That's what happened.
Fold turn.
I'll just
is
call
the
the C.
answer.
I'll
I'm
just
not
call
waiting
the
till
C,
river.
that's all.
Folding turn.
so everyone understands the thought process of Nick. He doesn't wanna have it against him. He doesn't wanna make an ace and be put in the box.
I'm
Too short
I'm in
stacks.
second and this guy is not gonna give me anything for free. He was aggressive, he was decent, he knew what he was doing. He was gonna pour on the pressure. I don't wanna play pots with this guy unless it's something that flops like pocket 5, something that you either drill the flop or you don't. It's not a hand you get put in a box with.
Throw
think
your,
that's
throw your
hard 'cause-
Before
GTO
you move on.
balance.
Not
Throw
too
your
long ago,
GTO
we got-
balance ranges out the window here. You don't need to be balanced versus this guy. Nut pedal, just don't play hands versus him.
Right.
I
Like,
like
if there's
your-
two,
I like your explanation on that, Nick, because honestly,
Yeah.
that's something I would have did. But now that how you explained it makes a lot of sense. Because what's you so like you said, if you hit an ace, what are you gonna do now? I mean, you're not happy
Go.
still, really.
you're gonna go broke.
Yeah, so I
Or you're
like
gonna
that.
fold. You're not gonna go broke. You're not gonna let yourself go broke, but you're gonna lose chips. There's just no. It's not worth it at this stage.
Do you think a lot of us, that's where we make mistakes? Because we try to defend every little pot that we can get and defend and so we're kind of not giving up and
This-
so we're
Dude,
getting
this is a
demolished.
special, this is a very
it
special
working
case.
now?
It's not every
Yeah.
day that you are, 4 players away from like, there's $20,000 locked up here. That's on the
Device
table
audio
waiting to
not
be
working.
captured. 20
So,
grand, at least.
So, and
it's
it's
one of
like, my ICM here is significant. Well, it's less significant than it was, but I was clear second place to this guy, which means he gets to just absolutely bully me because I can't afford to go broke before the other 2 short stacks.
Right. Now, hold
I
on
like
for 1 second. For something that Barry said, when Barry was talking about the difference between the ace 10 offsuit and the ace 10 suited and said it's a 3%.
Go back
difference.
one hand, Louis. This one's interesting, worth reviewing, I think. Go
There's
ahead,
something-
Go
Scott.
ahead.
Okay,
Finish.
there's something really important here, Barry, about the difference between the two hands. It's
You can flop the
4%.
nuts more.
It's 4%, not 3%, but that's not the important thing. Is it's not additive.
Hey,
So
Barry,
got-
you're gonna do me a favor. Next time you wanna play a 200 € tournament, instead of playing it, buy this. Pre-flop academy, okay?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
And
go
do
ahead,
the
Scott. You finished?
ICM trainer.
I
okay?
do wanna hear what Scott was gonna say.
You
real
need
quick.
that, Barry. You need that too.
when you look at the strength of the hand, you go, oh, it's only 4% better. That if you've got 20% equity, that 4%, it's not that it's 4% better. That's a full that's 20% of the full equity there because it's not additive, it's multiplicative. The other thing is, the more important thing here, because we're heads up, so the 4% is not a big part of it, is you know where you are. With the ace 10, he doesn't know where he is, and he's gonna be bluffed off the ace 10, he's gonna be forced off the ace 10. With the ace 10 suited, you know where you are on a lot of the runouts.
Louis, go back to that 10-8 suited hand, cuz I thought about check raising on the flop as well.
That's
Decided to
also
just
why,
call.
that's also why it comes up here. This 10-8 suited is so much more playable than that ace 10 offsuit, because you know where you are.
Yes.
I don't like check raising here without the spade or heart.
Yeah, it's kind of where I wound up sitting.
In an
I
ICM
just-
spot.
I just don't like playing aggressively versus this guy at all right now. Like,
No.
I just don't know if I wanna be, pushing my equity withdrawals versus him.
Yeah, that's kind of where I wound up and spade comes, he checks, and then to
I
me,
like
it's
that.
a,
I like this. I like this a lot, actually. Like a 9 makes a lot of sense for you.
flushes, I'll have aces.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't mind that bluff. It's good bluff.
This guy was just check raising every freaking hand.
So the real battle in the tournament now is between you and the other 25, not the 57.
Correct,
Yeah, and the
Scott. That's a
difference
great
here
way of thinking about
between
it.
this and earlier is I'm a clear short stack where I'm kind of okay if I go broke, cause I just need chips at this point. There's not so much
Yeah.
ICM pressure on me anymore.
But yeah, breaking it
Agreed.
down like that, Scott, is good. Like you are fighting with the second place, the other guy short stack right now for second place. Like your goal should be to outlast him to get heads up.
That ace nine hurts.
Yeah, that
Does.
ace nine, I don't know. I'm thinking about playing it different ways. I think it's never that bad to just fold and wait for a spot here. Even if it's like should be a call, you're never missing that much by skipping a marginal
Good.
spot.
Where's the ace nine? I
Nah.
missed it.
Like
You
two
It was
hands
a-
ago.
When you was in a
You-
small
You
blind.
limp folded the small blind against a 4 big blind ISO from big blind.
It was a big
Yeah,
ISO.
I
though,
thought
to be
I
fair.
thought he folded.
No, it was-
Yeah,
but it
well,
was-
limp folded.
So I consider, I don't
Alright.
think I get to call, but I did consider jamming here.
Yeah, I
I think a
agree. I
limp
think
jam
it's,
is viable. I don't like taking it post flop like you're talking about, though. I
Yeah,
think limp jam.
so I think, we actually discussed this after the hand, cuz, people wanted to know my thoughts. Ace nine suited, I think I get the limp call here. Ace nine it doesn't flop well enough for me to call 3 big blinds out of position. But
Then
I
the-
do
Yeah.
have good
You put
blockers
you on the
here.
box, I mean, what are we gonna do? We're
Yeah.
going for second place and the difference is like, almost what he puts out there.
I wound up on that this is just a little bit too many chips to jam.
Yeah.
So I think a fold is the better option.
So on that hand, given that he knows that he can bully us this much and he can raise, almost any two there. With that ace nine, then just not even limp it, just fold it. If
Yeah.
you know that he's raising all the time.
Well, I mean, Scott, he's not gonna raise 100% of the time. Like there definitely is EV and putting half a big blind there and taking the hand to the flop. It is pretty strong, right? Like, I think you do have
yeah,
to draw
I'm
the line.
willing, willing to limp fold against some kind of balance range. Like if we were told that he's ISOing 70% there, then I really do want to limp jam, right? Then I think he has enough folds to make it really
Why are
good,
you
but
so strong on running equities, Tim here?
Well, yeah, I think it gets back to playing the police, man. Like you just gotta know your place at the dinner table and,
Yeah,
if you don't have like, if
no,
you're not
I
loaded
mean, there was
from
an if there.
ready to
The
go.
word if was if you told me he was ISOing 70%.
Right.
Like if he was massively out of line, then sure. But if he's
Scott.
not, if he's playing something balanced, then you can wait for a better spot.
I'd like to elaborate on my strategy for my blind versus blind here because he's the clear chip leader and I'm the clear second stack. I don't have an RFI range in this spot. My strategy is a pure limp and I'm gonna limp call, limp jam, or limp fold.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I like that. A lot of value in that, I think.
Can I just say one other thing as well? I mean, the GTO response to from the big blind there when he's got, say, I don't know, king two off is to make it 4x, isn't it? A lot
Not
of players
against-
do this with like big card, low card junk.
Yeah, it's
As
As
okay.
small
Yeah,
blind or
if
as big blind?
No, against the
GTO
small
is
blind
pre-
limb.
GTO is pretty much irrelevant here. It's all ICM.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I would be
But we
interested
know
to
that
see
he's
that
doing
ace nine
that with a
off.
lot of junk.
Let's see that ace nine off in HRC later. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, if someone's got it, yeah, who can run it. I'm not available for the tools today.
Yeah,
Do most
I could run it
people
later.
raise 4x there with junk and 3x with a real hand, right? Most people do that.
I don't think
know
you
about
get to
that
paint
read.
it with a broad brush like that. You don't get to.
Yeah, I
make
don't know about that
assumptions.
read. I think when I'm in that spot, I'm raising to a standard size that I've decided on based on stack sizes and whatever.
So Did you pass the ace two hand, Louis? 'Cause I thought that was interesting, my turn barrel.
The ace deuce.
Yeah. I don't know if it was good or not.
You
I
got
like
the
the
ace of
flop bet.
spades.
We've
Yeah,
got
you're gonna have a
flop.
hard time making a mistake here, I think, with the
No,
ace
so
of
this is
spades in hand.
standard, but the question is here.
The turn.
Yeah,
I like
I
betting,
like-
you
You
know
have
why?
picked up,
Because we
I like
get
betting.
better
Picked up
aces
equity.
to fold. so
exactly.
This
We get better
portion of
aces
the
to fold
range,
and we get pairs to fold. Like, he has to fold a jack or a 9 or a 10 here a
Yeah.
lot of the
Yeah.
time.
Something
You're gonna
crappy
get an
like a jack seven.
extremely honest response here.
I
Like, he's
agree.
gonna ditch a lot of his bottom draws. And like his middle pairs, like jacks are miserable here, nines are miserable here, tens are miserable here.
Eights aren't even happy.
No, they're not
Eights are still
happy.
calling, but yeah, they're not happy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he doesn't want to be that to be the hand.
Did
he
you
goes
fire
out.
So
again?
it's. He just fired turn.
I
and he
fired
got
turn and he
fold.
Hey, turn
folded.
one.
I
Yeah.
like this
And I-
one
I-
barrel as well, because you only get
I
called by
like
a
it.
king or better.
Well, and you have the perfect bluff card on a lot of runouts. Like you still have equity. So you're still drawing to like a winning showdown hand and like you just have the perfect bluff card, so. You know.
Yep.
It's gonna be doing quite well, I think.
perfect bluff card because it blocks the ace high
Nick
flush.
Nick has all the ace kings in his range. Nick has all, and he's got the nut flush blocker essentially, so it's just a really good card.
I think this one is really good. It's a suited king. And this guy's out of line, he's just trying to bully us. And it's time.
Yeah. I think if, you gotta raise him sometimes, I think this is an okay one. This one, this one opposed to the ace nine. This one has better equity realization, I think. I mean, it's gonna be comparable,
agree.
right? Cuz you have a reasonable blocker on the other one. But some of his ace highs that he's gonna call you with inevitably here. You're gonna be. You know, doing a little bit better than 70-30. You know,
10,
it'll be
20,
close.
40 or something's good.
So king jack splits, so verse 3-bet. What are you doing?
When you were saying we had better equity realization, you mean only if we had called his bet with, we had jammed like we're doing here, then it's
His
No,
not.
calling
it's
range,
verse RFI, it's not verse 3-bet.
very sorry if yeah. So Scott, his jamming range, or his calling range is gonna be more littered with aces than kings and
RFI from
jacks.
BVB, I guess.
So the idea is you have you have two suited live cards fairly frequently. Like. And, you're gonna be doing well against like his ace queens,
Versus ISO, right?
his ace
Right.
ten suited, first ISO, yeah.
He's not gonna wanna call us with king, queen, the one that dominates.
No, versus ISO.
Not gonna wanna call us with ace jack, the one that
You found
dominates.
this one.
It's only the ace king.
So here to answer your question, this is gonna be pretty closely represented to what ace nine's doing here. That ace nine off, you see the nine is, kind of the inflection point, right? It's like,
Yeah. The
you're
bottom.
kind of
of the-
targeting, you're blocking some of, his folds, I guess. So the nine's not great.
So very nice little jam. Oh, they go. And the 4, look at this.
Yay.
This 4 is worth 7,500
It's
bucks.
worth a lot of dollars.
Alright, let's
It
see how
is.
you guys would have played heads up differently, cuz this guy owned me.
I think folding's okay. You probably can call that combo. I like folding that one. He walked you, you raise this, you get raised, that's fine. You defend, you got a king, it's
Could
too good.
3-bet this too.
Probably. I think I like doing the suited low combos better, though.
I like calling that flop, folding that turn. Yeah, sure.
Did you have a 4?
Yeah,
He
so
did,
I had
so
a
he
good
had the-
shot.
He had the gutter.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
Pretty
That's a
close.
close one. You're
I
too
thought it
deep,
was
you
really
gotta fold.
close. Yeah.
You're too deep, you just gotta fold.
I
think.
agree.
You scammed
Uh,
them.
You could call that.
What
more
about
like
that
good.
3-bet?
You got
Yeah, it
it.
was spicy. I think playing a limp jam strategy off 20 blind versus blind when you're covered by like this much, I think is a really attractive strategy. It becomes less attractive if he's only min raising though. King six, you raise, take it down, it's good.
Is the
King
jack,
eight.
is the jack six
you get
really,
walked.
really a call there? Heads up,
Yeah,
and the jack three?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it should be. I would have checked here.
So I thought for sure he'd go for value with like king X, or like 9x and better, maybe even 8x and better. So I was trying to get called by like an ace. Also keeping control of the pot where he can't really raise.
yeah, I'm shocked to see him show with that hand.
Same,
a
I
weird
was
hand.
floored.
Yeah, that hand should barrel turn.
I
Is this a
bet
better
pot-
check if we're
I
gonna
bet
fold
pot
for
and he
raise?
raised.
You gotta fold.
Fold.
You're getting really difficult parts of the heads up tree to play.
Maybe
'cause
check
it's like-
here sometimes?
Yeah, I would probably barrel this, but I don't know, dude. I fold when he clicks me like that.
I'd rather check with a 6 or a 9. 3-4, I don't really care if I have to fold.
I would raise that 6-4. Too much connectivity, plays well low,
Was it suited?
or loop, or limp. No, it was off.
Okay.
I like, yeah, I like looking this up. You're too strong.
Yeah, it's mandatory for one big.
I like this. I like that.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah,
Let's
south,
roll in,
yeah,
let's roll in.
Fully
nice.
found some chips.
Interesting raise with 6 high like a boss.
Yeah, it's some backdoor outs and just the absolute bottom of my range.
Agreed. I think it's like one of your best raises there.
I like this jam. You just unfortunately ran into it. I think it's
Okay,
fine.
so I didn't play terrible then, just.
No, you
No,
played fine.
I didn't see anything, anything poor. Heads up. I think you may be folding a little tight if I had to say anything. But
This is how.
But
you
as we saw with this guy,
build
this guy's kind of nitty. He wasn't,
$25,000.
like, he wasn't barreling pocket.
Congrats,
tens,
Nick.
So,
Yeah, congrats, brother, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well
real
played,
quick.
mate. I like the way you play.
You definitely motivate a lot of people in here, man.
Indeed, GG.
If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While
When
we're
you
at
say
it,
anyone, do you mean like anyone?
Oh, besides you.
You won.
Okay.
Have a seat.
anyone?
Anyone can do it?
I just
Good
wanna
hand
salute the
history.
hard work of Joe River this weekend, who took fourth place for $12,000.
Yeah,
in the
congrats,
WSOP
Joe.
100.
Congrats.
And I wanna
Nick, do
salute
you,
the hard work of Mike, who took
Man.
second place in the Bounty King Junior this weekend.
Yeah, we actually
Like
all
Like a
had,
boss.
we had 3 final tables at the same time on Sunday. It was really.
Big
Absolutely
final
insane.
tables,
that's sick.
big ones.
Nick, do you stake for most Sundays?
Not so much anymore because I work in the mornings. I was the past like 3 weeks because I was off, but now, only the stuff that starts late is the stuff I can offer staking because I don't have to late register it.